primer foro global que no pudo celebrarse en aquel momento en Silicon Valley y que hemos traído aquí. Y por lo tanto era obvio y lógico que Brian González fuera el encargado de ir ya cerrando el foro, que tendrá como culminación la Marina de Brasil presentando sus proyectos. A continuación será el lanzamiento del proyecto Piensa en Azul. Tenemos ahí el océano. Piensa en Azul, el lanzamiento. A continuación verán ustedes el vídeo del encuentro que ha tenido lugar. Ya saben que todos los años a estas alturas presentamos el vídeo del encuentro, que ya está hecho. Lo presentaremos, clausuraremos el foro y bajará todo el mundo. Me quedaré yo, que soy el secretario general de Virtual Educa, y subirán nuestros colegas de Argentina para presentar oficialmente el 20 Encuentro Internacional Virtual Educa, Ciudad de Buenos Aires, Argentina, 10-14 de septiembre. Ese es el itinerario del día. Yo quiero reconocer la gran labor hecha por Jorge Barbosa como coordinador del proyecto y esperamos que siga muchos años coordinando un proyecto que tiene un gran valor y que tiene un gran futuro en ese concepto de ver una tierra azul y no de cualquier otro color. Muchas gracias, Jorge. Adelante.
Thank you very much, Jose Maria Anton, for the very warm welcome and the wishes of Happy World Oceans Day to everybody. Welcome, everybody, and Happy World Oceans Day. Yes, we are here, exactly. Yes, give me some enthusiasm. I am so happy to be here today in this wonderful, beautiful, historic building. And if you look to your right, we have this amazing view, right? So this cannot get any better than this for World Oceans Day. I'm very excited. I want to thank the Secretary General and the team of Virtual Educa for making all of this possible, together as well with the various colleagues and partners here in Salvador and Bahia, and the wonderful Virtual Educa ecosystem of partners that we've been able to interact with and also discuss with along the last couple of weeks. It's been wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so we'll start the session. Really briefly, I'm going to introduce the format. We will start with a wonderful video that was prepared for us by children of the indigenous community of the Gunayala. This is in the border of Panama with Colombia. This is actually a wonderful community, and it's one of the very few in the world fully autonomous indigenous communities. They have a wonderful Sea Turtle Festival every year, so they'll be talking to us about World Oceans Day, education, and also their Sea Turtle Festival. So this is going to be very nice. We'll start off with that video. I call it Youth Voices for a Blue Planet. Following that, we will have our wonderful panel. You might have already heard who we will be having, and I will be presenting each one individually. We will have him up here talking as I'm doing right now, sort of freestyle, and then we'll have, following that, discussion. And then we can move on to the next session. I'm going to then start with the video. We're very happy. El número uno, por favor. It's a very short video. Bear with us. It's going to be quite nice. Thank you.
De mar, amarga sobre. De mar do madi, uagudi, yaukudi, imamargudi, amar de mar sabguergebe, amar oimoledi.
Es bonito no contaminar el mar. En los mares hay tiburones, mantarrayas y todo clase de pescaditos.
Moro gudit, Moro que moro gudi de margita marginita de maya dailege azul vi.
Hoy en el Día Mundial del Océano quiero manifestarle sobre el concepto espiritual que tenemos como grupos indígenas en el concepto sobre el mar. Nosotros consideramos que el mar ha sido uno de los trabajos principales de Dios junto con la tierra. Así que dentro de ese mar, el mar es considerado para los cunas como una gran abuela, en donde hay grandes misterios, grandes biodiversidades, grandes hallazgos de peces que Dios pensó dejar para la alimentación de sus hijos. Y por ende, en el mar existe un animal, una especie de animal llamado las tortugas marinas. Estas tortugas marinas dentro de la mitología juegan un papel importantísimo para los cunas, considerado como unas hermanas que han perdido en el universo, en el misterio del mar. Esta mitología ha llevado hoy en día de conservar nuestras tortugas. Las tortugas baulas hoy en día representa el ícono más importante para la comunidad de Armila. De allí que la zona nuestra, hoy el mar y la comunidad se encuentra en la cuarta zona más importante de la reproducción de las tortugas marinas en Armila. Pero tenemos un gran problema que no es un problema solamente de Armila, sino un problema mundial. Hoy nuestras playas están inundadas de plásticos. Nosotros estamos, digamos, hemos dañado el ecosistema totalmente. Ahora la pregunta es, ¿qué podemos hacer frente a estos tipos de problemas? ¿Acaso es un problema solamente de una comunidad o es un problema de todos? Por eso, todos ustedes que me escuchan, las grandes empresas han sido uno de los líderes de enviar las basuras al mar. Yo creo que ellos son los que deben de tomar batutas para ver cómo controlamos estas basuras que inundan a las comunidades que han permanecido, han tenido nítidamente, que han cuidado también su biodiversidad. Hoy se sienten afectados por todo el trabajo que han hecho las grandes empresas que han tirado grandes montones y montones de basuras.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. The Gunayala community are also themselves undertaking a lot of social responsibility for the cleanup of their beaches. They are undertaking a lot of good environmental work and relationships with different companies in Panama and different shipping companies and tourism companies. So it's very interesting to see actually, and it was mentioned here, the interaction between the public, the private and the community level commitments that are being done as we speak for the protection of their ancestral lands and ocean. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll continue then now, as promised, with the wonderful panel that we have. La número dos, por favor. So I'd like to start by welcoming Mrs. Stephanie Norby to the stage. Mrs. Stephanie is the director of the Smithsonian Learning Lab, and she will be speaking to us about her wonderful platform.
Gracias.
Thank you. You're welcome to do this or that.
Thank you so much. Bon dia, buenos dias, good morning. I come from the Smithsonian Institution, which is the National Museum of the United States. I hope all of you have visited the Smithsonian. If you have not, I invite you to come. The Smithsonian is 19 museums and a zoo, and within those museums, it has 160 million different objects. So if you were to come to the Smithsonian, and if you were to look at every single thing, just the things on display, it would take you an entire year at least. And if you were to visit all of the museums, you would only see 1 to 3% of our holdings. And so what I'm here to talk about is that now the Smithsonian is digitizing those holdings so that you can see, at some point you'll be able to see all of them, and you'll be able to see them anywhere. We've talked a lot in this conference about the importance of innovation and access, about the use of digital technology and new technologies. And this is very important because when we have sufficient access, it opens a whole new world to us. But access is also about the quality of the content that we're able to access. And so part of my presentation today is making a case for using museum objects in education, and in particular, how museum objects might help us to better understand the ocean. So what I will do now is I'm going to show you just a few of the types of collections that we make available. By far, the largest of our collections are from the natural world. We have millions of specimens that document the ocean, and we have been collecting at the Smithsonian since the mid-19th century. So these specimens document the biodiversity of our world, and they also document how our world is changing. We have artworks, and these artworks are inspired by the ocean, many of them. This is an artwork by a contemporary artist named Janet Eckelman. It is huge. It would fill the entire ceiling of this hall. And what she has done is she has taken the data from a tsunami that hit Japan in 2011. And she has taken fiber and knotted that fiber so that she can create a visual representation of the tsunami. And then on the floor, she has created a textile rug that is the topography of the land. So while it is beautiful, it is also a way to help people understand what a tsunami is and its impact. A bit hard to see, but this is a biowave. The Smithsonian also collects artifacts, and from its beginning, it has focused on changes in technology. In fact, our Museum of American History was originally called the Museum of Technology. We also have a design museum in New York City, and of course we have the Air and Space Museum, which is largely about engineering and the history of engineering. So together, these objects show us how we have changed, how we have innovated, how we have solved problems. And finally, we collect cultural artifacts, and the importance of cultural artifacts, just as you saw in the video, of understanding what indigenous cultures have to tell us and what traditional practices might inform what we do in the future. And so we have objects that are for science, art, history, and culture that can come together and can be used and are now freely available for you and your students as long as it's for educational purposes. I'm going to take a closer look at one of these objects to show what its value might be. I think it's obvious that our collections would be useful to historians, to artists, to scientists, but it's probably less obvious how these collections might be useful in helping us to think about innovation and also to foster innovation and problem solving. So I'm going to use a traditional artifact to make my point. This is an object that comes from the Marshall Islands. It is made of sticks and twine and cowrie shells. It was made by sailors in the Marshall Islands so that they could then navigate the seas. If you look at the top right-hand corner, you'll see a curved line that shows swells. If you follow the short lines, you can see currents. Oops, sorry. And if you follow the cowrie shells along the long sticks, it's telling you the order of the islands. I was recently working with a group of students that were middle school students, and what I did is I showed them things from our collection that dealt with sailing. A sextant, a compass, and also this. And at the end, I asked the students to think about what is the definition of innovation, and then I asked them to rank these objects from most important to least important as an example of innovation in navigation. There was a heated discussion among the students, and in the end of that discussion, I was surprised to see they chose this object. And when I asked them for their reasoning why this object was more important than what I thought they would choose, they said because it was used over a long period of time. They said that it was critical to people's survival because it allowed them to communicate, to trade, and to find food. But the other reason they gave is they said it was sustainable. It was made from easily accessible resources, and if it fell into the ocean, it would not damage the environment. So through these cultural artifacts, there are also lessons that we can learn. All of us are interested in innovation. We use different words to describe it. We talk about design thinking, engineering, invention, maker spaces. But what they all hold in common is we want students to see themselves as protagonists. We want them to see themselves as having agency, to create policies, to design new solutions, to be scientists that make new discovery, discover new species. So it's this agency. How do we build this agency in students? Now, the Smithsonian has great content, but we're not known for educational practices. That's not the research that we focus on. So we've partnered with the Harvard School of Education that's been studying critical thinking, analytical thinking, deep thinking in education for the last 50 years, and they have often used museum objects to do this research. And so from that, there is one particular program run by a man named Eric Clapp that looks at agency by design. So he's looking at how do we foster innovation? What are the essential skills for innovation? What are the critical thinking that students need to be able to do? And he's come up with 3 essential skills. The first is the ability to slow down and look closely, to find detail. The second is to be able to discover complexity. How is one object part of a larger system? And the third is, once you look closely, once you understand complexity, to see what is the opportunity to make it better. So I'm going to give one small example in terms of water transportation using objects from the Smithsonian to practice these skills. This is a model that comes from the Inuit people in the Bering Strait. And so you see a kayak. If we look closely at this kayak, we can ask students to ask questions. What material is it made of? Why do you think it's made of that material? Prompt students to look deeper, to do a deeper description, to look more closely at detail, and from that looking closely to pose questions. So they might look at the design, taking different images or enlarging those images to see the actual construction. They might see other features. This is a manhole cover that was part of the kayak in order to protect the kayaker. They might take measurements of it and start to think about proportion and the reason why it is proportioned and how those proportions are linked to our own proportions and our reach. And after we've looked closely, we can then aggregate other kinds of evidence to start to look at the complexity. How did this kayak fit within a larger system? For this, we can use other kinds of evidence. Photographs. This is from the 19th century. We can also look at drawings. This was made by a scientist. Others were made by the Inuit people. And what these illustrations show us are the complexity and the way in which it was used. This illustrates how cooperation was required and how they had to collaborate in order to stabilize the boats, with them assuming different roles. This one is daunting to imagine, being in a kayak and trying to hunt a whale, and it shows that survival, it was essential to cooperate, and how they would form formations of boats, and how they had to work together in order to hunt. And here it shows even bringing home the prey required cooperation. And this illustration shows the impact of changes in technology over time. When you have interactions with other cultures, and now new technology is introduced which changes those traditional practices, and what is the impact on the culture. And then you can compare kayaks, both within the Inuit people and across the world, to see how they are designed for different situations and for different purposes. Often those design changes subtle. The other benefit of museum objects that are available digitally is that, unlike in a museum where a curator has already made the decision of what to put next to something else, you can now do it online. And that ability to make different combinations, different juxtapositions, allows us to imagine new possibilities. So if you were to imagine, what would origami, paper folding, what could it possibly have to do with a kayak? Well, for one inventor, it had everything to do with it. This inventor studied paper folding so that he could take a flat surface and, through folding, using sustainable, recyclable materials, he could make a lightweight kayak that would be easy to carry and would be inexpensive to buy. And once you start to imagine a new way of doing something, taking a traditional kayak that has been around for hundreds of years and now making it into something new, you can also start to imagine a new world. And what you can see in the blue to the side is this is a rendering of the possibilities of Manhattan, where you might see my colleague, Aaron, who is kayaking to work one day. So this one change in innovation could lead to a change in larger transportation systems. We are raw material, and along with my other colleagues from Museum of Tomorrow, we're reimagining how these collections in a digital world, using the latest technology, can be reinvigorated and used. And in another presentation, my friends at Hydrous are going to show you how they took these 2D objects and are now making them 3D and entering them into a virtual world. With that, I would like to thank the government of Bahia for hosting this event, Virtua Educa for bringing us all together and convening this, and also to the World Bank for providing leadership in helping us all to think about what we can do to think blue. And finally, to the people of Bahia who have been so gracious and warm while I have been visiting here. Thank you.
Fantastic, wonderful presentation. Thank you very much, Stephanie. That was really very much appreciated and inspiring as well. We'll continue with the next presentation, and as Stephanie mentioned, we have the colleagues from the Museu de Mañana from Rio de Janeiro. I'd like to present Mr. Emanuel Alencar, whom is the content manager at Museu de Mañana. He will be presenting some of the work on the Baías de Mañana project. This is a presentation in Portuguese, I believe. We'll have translation. Please know, everybody, we are also being webcast, and so this is quite exciting. This is potentially a global event. So we're happy to have every one of you here and all the wonderful presenters. So can we ponemos la siguiente? Eso. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bom dia a todos e todas. É um prazer enorme estar aqui com vocês para falar um pouquinho do nosso Museu do Amanhã. O museu que foi, para vocês terem uma ideia, esta é uma imagem da abertura do Museu do Amanhã. Ela apresenta aí uma fila quilométrica que a gente teve que conviver, né? A Adriana, nossa diretora de programação, está aqui. Foram 2 anos muito interessantes, muito animadores para a gente. A gente jamais imaginaria que o Museu do Amanhã fosse se transformar nessa loucura toda, né? e isso foi motivo de muito orgulho para a gente, de um desafio na mesma dimensão da nossa alegria. O Museu do Amanhã, ao contrário do maravilhoso Smithsonian, ele não traz elementos físicos, não traz objetos. Ele é um museu de possibilidades, causa e efeito. Ele entende que o amanhã ele não está pronto, ele não está concluído, ele não é uma data fixa no calendário. Não, o amanhã ele depende das ações que empreendemos hoje. Ele está sendo construído a partir das decisões que tomamos hoje. Ou seja, ele é um museu de exploração, de ideias. Se tomarmos algumas medidas hoje, chegaremos daqui a 50 anos de uma maneira. Se, ao contrário, tomarmos outras medidas hoje, chegaremos daqui a 50 anos de outras maneiras. Então, ele convida a todos a uma grande reflexão. É um museu de ciências aplicadas, mas costumamos dizer que é um museu diferente, é um museu com conceito filosófico e totalmente interativo, o que isso implica também uma série de aprendizados, e nós estamos ainda trabalhando com diversas maneiras de como a gente consegue engajar a nossa audiência. Aí um pouco dos números para vocês verem a dimensão do museu. Nós somos hoje, com muito orgulho, o museu mais visitado da América do Sul. Estamos chegando aí na marca dos 3 milhões de visitantes, e isso nos deixa muito contentes. Só em 2017 foi mais de 1 milhão de visitantes, já fizemos 8 exposições, a última sobre inovações no Brasil foi um desenvolvimento nosso, da nossa equipe de curadoria, da qual eu faço parte, chegou a quase 500 mil pessoas. Nós temos muito respeito aos moradores do entorno do Museu do Amanhã, que é uma área histórica do Rio de Janeiro, que começou a ser totalmente reformulada do ponto de vista urbanístico a partir de 2013. Então, nós pedimos licença para chegar na região, com muito respeito, e conseguimos hoje já atingir quase 3.200 vizinhos do museu. O que significa isso? Esses vizinhos do museu, eles têm livre acesso à exposição principal, e eles podem participar em primeira mão. Eles são nossos convidados especiais assim que inauguramos exposições, quando fazemos palestras, quando fazemos uma série de discussões. São nossos convidados prioritários. Além disso, temos um programa de amigos do museu que vamos conseguir esse ano, apesar de todas as dificuldades da crise, chegar a 1.000 amigos do museu. Esses amigos, eles nos ajudam a discutir, eles são convidados para palestras, para discussões, e eles têm acesso gratuito ao museu durante o ano inteiro. O Museu do Amanhã, em sua exposição principal, a arquitetura foi desenhada pelo arquiteto espanhol Santiago Calatrava. Essa exposição principal ela está ancorada em 5 perguntas básicas que a humanidade sempre se fez, né? De onde viemos, quem somos, onde estamos, para onde vamos e como queremos ir. Essa é uma experiência do cosmos, que é um grande círculo oval, que as pessoas, dentro dessa experiência, elas têm viajam através de uma história de 14 bilhões de anos. Então, a gente conta um pouco dos caminhos, né, da vida, da formação do universo até a ascensão da humanidade e aos desafios do mundo atual. Resumidamente, são as áreas cosmos, terra, antropoceno, amanhãs e nós. Então, um pouquinho mais do conceito do Museu do Amanhã. O nosso website, para quem quiser conhecer mais, quem quiser ir ao Rio de Janeiro, estão todos convidadíssimos. Parece? Entrando agora especificamente no Thinking Blue, o que estamos trabalhando com a educação e com os oceanos. Ainda este ano nós vamos inaugurar um novo interativo chamado Bahia de Todos Nós. Em agosto de 2018, ao término da exposição principal, temos esse enorme desafio de cativar um público que já passou pela exposição, já foi bombardeado por uma série de informações, e a gente quer trazer esse público para discutir um pouco da nossa Baía de Guanabara e de outras 4 baías internacionais, né? A gente quer mostrar a esse público diferentes aspectos que envolvem programas de despoluição. A gente está dentro da Baía de Guanabara, nós temos um compromisso muito forte com a história do Rio de Janeiro, com a história do Brasil. A Baía de Guanabara, durante 4 séculos, ela testemunhou a diáspora africana, um período terrível de nossa história. A gente tem muito respeito por isso, a gente quer contribuir para amanhãs melhores. Para vocês terem uma ideia, o Cais do Valongo, nas proximidades do Museu da Amanhã, ele recebeu nesse período, durante a escravidão, quase 2 milhões de africanos escravizados. Nós não estamos, de maneira alguma, querendo esquecer o passado. Não, nós queremos usar o passado para que possamos construir futuros mais iguais, mais equânimes e com mais diversidade. Então, o objetivo desse interativo é abordar, né, os aspectos da biodiversidade, a situação de saneamento e da despoluição dessas baías e perceber que falar em despoluição é falar em aspectos locais, é falar em complexidades enormes, que não vamos conseguir resolver os problemas num passe de mágica. Temos o apoio do Instituto CCR e o Museu da Amanhã, ele é uma concepção e realização do Instituto de Desenvolvimento e Gestão, uma organização social, e da Prefeitura do Rio de Janeiro. Então, em linhas gerais, nós vamos falar um pouquinho desses aspectos de todas essas 5 baías. As escolhidas, a Guanabara, por motivos óbvios, né? Uma das mais belas baías do Brasil, rivalizando aqui com a nossa Baía de Todos os Santos. Por que escolher a Guanabara, né? Estamos dentro da Baía de Guanabara e ela está circundada pela 2ª maior região metropolitana do país. Recebe aproximadamente hoje, infelizmente, ainda 18 mil litros de esgoto por segundo, 22 anos após o primeiro programa de despoluição dessa Baía de Guanabara. No entanto, ela tem um enorme ativo de biodiversidade, uma coisa impressionante, é a 5ª maior baía do mundo em presença de raias e tubarões, para vocês terem uma ideia. E muita gente não tem a dimensão dessa riqueza que representa a Baía de Guanabara. Baía de Chesapeake, nossos amigos americanos conhecem bem, o 2º maior estuário dos Estados Unidos, com uma abrangência de 6 estados. O seu primeiro programa de despoluição ocorreu há 40 anos, ou seja, eles são mais antigos que a gente. Então, eles já conquistaram resultados muito importantes, mas embora já tenham equacionado bem a questão dos esgotamentos sanitários, ainda assim enfrentam outros problemas. Então, a gente quer mostrar com esse interativo que as realidades são diferentes e você despoluir a Bahia é um processo complexo que não envolve apenas despoluir, tirar e tratar os esgotos sanitários. Baía de Sydney, um outro caso muito interessante, que é um complexo de pequenas baías. A Baía de Homebush, ela recebeu um parque olímpico durante os Jogos de 2000. Nós estamos trazendo o representante da Baía de Sydney agora para o dia 19, para um grande debate no Museu da Amanhã, que vai nos ajudar a construir esse interativo também. Então, para a gente entender um pouquinho como é que Sydney caminhou também bem nesse processo de despoluição. Baía de Tóquio, também outro caso muito interessante, que virou case internacional. E, por fim, a Baía de Jakarta, na Indonésia, que é uma baía que, do ponto de vista da saúde ambiental, ainda parece um pouco mais com a nossa realidade da Guanabara, para a gente não ficar muito triste, achar que a gente está muito, muito longe dos outros casos do mundo. Mas a Baía de Jakarta é muito interessante, porque dentro do aspecto cultural, pelo que o nosso consultor, Márcio Santa Rosa, que está fazendo esse interativo com a gente, já conseguiu levantar, eles enfrentam um enorme problema de afundamento de terreno lá na Indonésia. E para eles, o despejo de poluentes na Bahia não é algo que preocupa tanto assim quanto nos preocupa lá na Guanabara. Então, a gente quer entender um pouco melhor do que significa despoluir uma Bahia para o povo de Jakarta também. Porque falar de baías, evidentemente, falar de baías é falar muito mais do que apenas um recôncavo qualquer onde se possa aportar, como define o dicionário, né, de uma maneira muito fria. Ela traz símbolos, carrega histórias e carrega muita importância para que a gente conheça o passado, para compreendermos o presente e avançarmos para o futuro. Então, vocês terem uma ideia de onde ficará o novo interativo, né? Aí vai ter um pouquinho de dados sobre a Baía da Guanabara. Nós estamos trazendo esse seminário, como eu já mencionei, no dia 19 de junho agora, com palestrantes da Baía de Guanabara, da Baía de Sydney e do delta urbano holandês. A gente quer entender um pouco melhor como funciona o modelo de authority, esse modelo de autoridade de Bahia, esse modelo que pressupõe, que preconiza uma forte participação social, porque entendemos que jamais conseguiremos avançar na despoluição da Guanabara se todos os atores não estiverem envolvidos, se as metas forem execuíveis, se as metas forem feitas a curto e médio prazo, com ampla participação e acompanhamento social. Sem isso, não adianta, vai ser mais blá blá blá, mais papo furado. Então, nós vamos fazer um grande seminário agora internacional, trazendo pessoas de diversas baías, além de Sydney, além do delta holandês. Vamos trazer um pesquisador japonês que atuou no programa da despoluição da Baía de Tóquio. Nós estamos trazendo juntamente nesse seminário um documentário 360 graus sobre a Baía de Guanabara, que é a agência pública. Meus colegas jornalistas lá fizeram um documentário fantástico em VR, em realidade virtual. Então, o visitante do museu, ele assiste a esse documentário usando os óculos de realidade virtual e pode ter um panorama 360 da Bahia. Nós estamos pensando agora também para setembro, um outro evento, vamos falar sobre essa publicação da CIAI, da Conservação Internacional, com vários especialistas, Fábio Scaran, David Z, Rodrigo Medeiros, falando sobre como teremos a Bahia no amanhã, prognósticos futuros da Baía de Guanabara. E, por fim, um grande passeio pela biodiversidade da Guanabara. Nós vamos convidar os visitantes, os interessados em participar, a um passeio pela Baía de Guanabara para a gente conhecer a biodiversidade mais de perto da Bahia. O Museu do Amanhã, do ponto de vista da educação e do ponto de vista de nossa linha geral que nos orienta, ele é ancorado em dois pilares éticos fundamentais: a sustentabilidade e a convivência. Nesse sentido, a Baía de Guanabara, evidentemente, se encaixa nessas duas temáticas. A partir do momento que estamos dentro dela, nós estamos convivendo com ela diariamente. E a sustentabilidade é mais óbvia aqui neste caso, que precisamos cuidar melhor de nossa grande riqueza, nosso cartão postal, né? Aqui nessa imagem, um encontro entre educadores lá na sobre a Baía de Guanabara, e nosso educativo tem trabalhado insistentemente, dia sim, dia também, com a temática da Baía de Guanabara, tanto para visitantes, tanto para estudantes. Nós já recebemos em visitas mediadas, para vocês terem uma ideia, apenas em 2017, 60 mil alunos. Nós temos uma relação muito próxima com 11 colégios ali do entorno do Museu da Manhã, dos Morros da Providência, do Morro do Pinto. Enfim, nós temos um trabalho social muito forte lá no Museu da Manhã, de engajamento da sociedade. Então, estamos frequentemente tratando os oceanos, tratando a Baía de Guanabara em nossa rotina lá no museu. Mais algumas imagens do que já fizemos sobre Bahia. Nós já temos trabalhado o assunto desde 2016, o museu abriu em dezembro de 2015, e nós já fizemos alguns eventos lá no Museu da Manhã, como, por exemplo, o documentário Bahia Urbana, de um pesquisador, biólogo chamado Ricardo Gomes. O Ricardo fez um trabalho fantástico. Quem puder entrar no YouTube e ver este documentário, eu recomendo fortemente. Ele mostra o aspecto positivo da Baía de Guanabara. Ele quis fazer um recorte diferente do que é usualmente, comumente divulgado na mídia. Ele quis dizer que a Bahia está muito viva e que tem uma enorme biodiversidade, uma enorme quantidade de peixes e de outros animais marinhos. Embaixo vocês estão vendo o nosso boto cinza, o Sotalia guianensis. Eu não sei se aqui em Todos os Santos essa espécie ocorre, mas o boto cinza, ele é um bioindicador muito forte da Baía de Guanabara, e ele nos dá pistas de como estamos tratando aquele ambiente. Para vocês terem uma ideia, na década de 70, não é exagero dizer que mais de 1.000 botos como esses frequentavam as áreas internas da Baía de Guanabara. E eles têm um aspecto muito interessante. Esse boto, ele nasce, vive e morre depois de aproximadamente 30 anos dentro da própria Bahia. Ele não sai da Bahia. Só alguns poucos casos de trocas desses botos com a Baía de Sepetiba, que é uma outra baía urbana nossa lá. Então, lamentavelmente, nesses últimos anos, nós estamos experimentando, vendo uma redução drástica da população desses mamíferos. E hoje, para vocês terem uma ideia, nós temos 23 botos apenas vivendo dentro da Baía de Guanabara. Alguma coisa está errada, o boto está no brasão da cidade do Rio de Janeiro, nós precisamos mostrar à população que ele existe, engajar as pessoas para que a gente consiga fazer com que essa espécie não deixe de ocorrer, que ela não suma da Baía de Guanabara do nosso cotidiano. Eu queria agradecer a todos nesse momento de escalada de ódio, de escalada de discursos muito complicados. O Museu da Amanhã, ele não é o museu da pseudociência, ele não é o museu da raiva, ele não é o museu do ódio, ele é o museu da colaboração, ele é o museu da sustentabilidade, ele é o museu da ciência, ele é o museu de todos nós. Convido a todos a ajudar a construir o amanhã que queremos. Muito obrigado.
Very good. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful set of presentations. Really enjoy having here today the array of institutions representing private, public, and education. As you know, we are thinking blue, right? So I hope you're all thinking blue at this moment as well. And today's, I remind you, World Oceans Day. I mean, I don't have to remind you. It's big in the screen right behind us. So this is wonderful. I encourage you all to think about questions, to start making connections between the presenters and start thinking about how all these different institutions and all these different partners can potentially collaborate with one another. And as, for example, the two museums that were just here, they have such wonderful exhibits and projects and all this wonderful material that is curated and made by professional scientists and well-renowned figures. That's available for all sorts of learning material as well as Mrs. Norby pointed out. So this is very exciting. We'll have a little bit of a discussion following, so we'll talk a little bit more about this. Remember, we're being webcast. Our hashtag is hashtag virtual Educa, hashtag Think Blue. There's also a hashtag World Oceans Day. So make sure you get on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good one. Get on LinkedIn, everybody. Thank you very much. We'll now welcome to the stage Mrs. Lauren Conn, whom is the Director of Partnerships at Discovery Education. Thank you very much, Mrs. Lauren, for joining us.
All right. Bom dia. Buenos dias. Good morning. Oh, switch. Thank you so much. All right. Should I stand this way? I think no matter where I stand, I won't block the screen, I don't think, right? I seriously want to thank everyone so much. It's such an honor to be here to celebrate World Oceans Day with all of you, to be part of this distinguished panel, and I'm really excited to continue the conversation. And I'm very honored to represent Discovery today, specifically the Education Division of Discovery, which is part of Discovery Channel. And so I wanted to start with just a little bit of history, a little bit of background of how we started our work in education. So some of you all might be familiar with Discovery Channel. It launched over 30 years ago. And the idea was that people are naturally curious about the world around them, and they want to satiate that curiosity with high-quality nonfiction content. So education, to educate, to engage, has always been part of Discovery's mission. And so today, Discovery is a global media company. There we go. Oop, pardon me. In over 220 countries and territories. And so you'll see at the top of the screen here, I talk about Discovery Channel, but it also includes Discovery Kids, which is one of the most popular networks here in Brazil, TLC, Animal Planet, Science Channel, and we'll take a closer look at what the Discovery family looks like here in Latin America. So some of the brands that you might be familiar with down at the bottom. And the reason that I bring this up is because we in the Education Division have the great fortune of being able to use segments of these engaging programs on television, put them together with educationally relevant materials on our web portal for use in the classroom to engage students and get them excited about learning. And so I mentioned before that Discovery Channel launched over 30 years ago, and the first program that ever aired on Discovery was a documentary called Iceberg Alley. And can you imagine who gave the first phone call to Discovery after that program aired? Someone called Discovery right after that program aired. Any guesses on who that person might have been? I have prizes for volunteers. It was a teacher. So a teacher called and said, how can I show this program in my classroom? I want to be able to show this documentary in my classroom. So those really were the origins of our work in education, specifically with primary and secondary students around the world. So today, Discovery Education works with about 50 million students, and we have a community of practice, a community of educators, about 4.5 million around the world. So we work in about 50 different countries, specifically in the education work. So that can range from us working with individual schools that utilize Discovery Education resources in the classroom, all the way to partnerships with ministries of education for a countrywide initiative. So I want to show you a quick video to give you a sense of what our work looks like around the world, and you may see some places that you recognize.
I can take a field trip around the world, even though I've never been on an airplane.
I can investigate the mysteries of the human body from the inside out.
I can see the world through the eyes of others.
I can experience what's happening today and understand what it means for tomorrow.
I can do experiments and learn to think like a scientist. I can learn biology while I'm learning English.
I can solve problems that I couldn't understand before.
I can dream.
I can engage.
I can build.
I can achieve.
I can learn.
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 Thank you so much. We're Discovery, so it's mandatory that we use video in our presentations. I couldn't resist. But also, I love that beautiful shot of Christ the Redeemer in the very beginning. But it gives you an idea of the type of content that we try to use, but use it in a purposeful way, with a sound pedagogical framework and with wonderful resources for teachers. And importantly, we actually do about 10,000 days of professional development with primary and secondary teachers all around the world every year. So, of course, the digital content is so important, the technology is important and exciting in the classroom, but we know it's really going to have that impact on student achievement if we're working with teachers. And I have the great privilege to travel around the world, and virtually everywhere we go, we hear about people's desire to go digital and use more digital content in the classroom. And so I mentioned that we do thousands of days of professional development for educators around the world. This is just an informal survey of those thousands of educators that we work with around the world. An informal survey, but I think it's very interesting. We asked how we teach and how we learn. And you can see the result is pretty much the inverse. So the idea that we're getting at is, as I'm doing to you right now, talking to you directly, is not necessarily the best way that we learn and capture information, but we'll mix it up a little bit in the presentation. But what we like to do with digital, and what we really believe in the power of digital, and especially exposing students to different types of content, excuse me, that's a sneak peek, is that we can appeal to many different types of learners. So, and many different ways that students want to access content. So we try to provide a variety of different content, but also the most relevant and most interesting. And content that's related importantly to 21st century skills and careers, especially as we're talking about the blue economy. As you know, a lot of the imagery, a lot of the documentaries that Discovery historically has had celebrate our planet and conserving our planet and conserving the oceans. And so we have a lot of great content. So I wanted to share a few examples of the types of content that we try to use on our platform to engage students, get them excited about learning, and get them to imagine future careers and build skills. So one thing that I wanted to share is that right now, if you'd like, this is some free content that we have available. It's the Discovery VR app. So we're talking about virtual reality. I know my colleague Emanuel was saying that the museum was doing virtual tours, and I even have some examples of just the very simple cardboard where you can download the app on your cell phone and you can load it into the cardboard, and for a very inexpensive price you can have a virtual reality experience in the classroom. So this Discovery VR app is available, and you'll find a lot of great content specifically regarding oceans that is dedicated to the preservation and conservation of our planet. So it's free content that we try to use and incorporate in a purposeful way in the classroom. And then I just wanted to share with you a few more examples. We have, as I mentioned, our web portal, and we have supplementary and core content for students. So I wanted to show some examples of how we're trying to build those 21st century skills and how it relates to thinking blue for students. So really, our curriculum team is very dedicated to creating and fostering an environment of what we call STEM teaching and learning. So we know in English that the acronym STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And what our curriculum team likes to say is that for them, it actually stands for Students and Teachers Energizing Minds. So it's a cute little play on the English acronym, but the idea is that we strive for opportunities that are truly transdisciplinary, and then of course we're building on those 21st century skills that are so important for the blue economy. So the critical thinking and collaboration and communication. And so right now you're seeing on the screen an example of our coding program. So starting from students as young as 5 years old, we're teaching students how to block code, and they also progress to HTML and Python languages. So this is just an example of how we try to show teachers how they can incorporate it into different content areas. So I can create an app and a game, I can export it, I can share it with my friends, I can share it with my family, but it's also a way that I can demonstrate my learning. So I'm learning computational thinking, specifically I'm learning a coding skill, but I could also tell a narrative in English class, in literature class, and I could also talk about our oceans and what I learned in biology by coding a game and to demonstrate my learning. We also have a series of digital textbooks, and so I wanted to show you what these look like and what some of the content on here looks like. So you'll see on the one side of the screen, and this is the image that we always use, but it's very appropriate for this occasion. We have that beautiful sea turtle, and so students are opening their digital textbook in the classroom, and immediately we want them to get excited. This one is in science specifically, but we also have a whole section within the science digital textbook that's dedicated to STEM, and we make those cross-curricular connections. So at the bottom you'll see we have the Global STEM Alliance logo there, because we were very honored to be certified by the Global STEM Alliance as an official STEM resource after going through their rigorous process. So here you see an example of a virtual exploration. And so we have lots of different examples of that. Virtual labs that make it easier to do experiments in the classroom where it would be difficult, costly, dangerous, and maybe you're in a place that's landlocked and you don't have access to the oceans. This is a way to transport students there where they can experience it in an interactive digital environment. Oops, excuse me. And so I also wanted to share, we have a partnership with Reuters News Service. And so I was really excited, actually, just last week while I was preparing for this presentation, we have news clips that are updated on a daily basis. And there was one that was very relevant to the conference today. So let's see if I can get that video to play. These are quick news segments, and it's a way for teachers to incorporate current events into their classroom. Can we get the video to play on the slide? Oh, there we go.
Seaweed's natural sunblock works for us too. Researchers at King's College London testing palathine, a kind of amino acid called an MAA, found in marine plants and animals. MAAs are known to act as sunscreen. The team wanted to see how palathine worked on humans.
So I just wanted to share that quick clip. I mean, that was something not planned that just came up on our web portal, so we're updating that content all the time. But really, kind of in the context of Thinking Blue, how we're updating that content and talking about an organic sunscreen that could be derived from seaweed, as you saw there. So I think we're always interested in having that content come in and getting students to make those real-world connections. That's the most important. And I was just going to end with, I know the theme of this conference is really forming partnerships. So I'm really excited for the dialogue that will come after this and how we can continue to talk about how can we work together to further the mission of this wonderful event and this wonderful gathering. So just to give you a couple quick examples, especially I know Jorge mentioned public-private partnerships. And so we're very interested in being a mission-driven organization and how we can partner with all kinds of like-minded organizations, public and private, to make an impact on teaching and learning. So one example I was going to give when I said we have a countrywide initiative with Ministries of Education. In Egypt, we've created an entire web portal in partnership with the Ministry of Education in Arabic, in English, aligned to the curriculum, and it's all about STEM teaching and learning and STEM careers. And we also train hundreds of Egyptian teachers every year of that partnership and building capacity with master teachers. So we do partnerships directly with individual schools and teachers all the way to countrywide scale initiatives. And then also I thought how exciting to be invited to this conference because Discovery actually has a history with World Oceans Day. Actually in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, we celebrated World Oceans Day with a virtual field trip. So it's another thing that we do live streaming events so we can try to transport students from their classroom to anywhere in the world. We've done it on Mount Kilimanjaro or the Tower of London. And in this case, we did a celebration in partnership with the White House and the State Department, specifically on World Oceans Day. And so we were able to broadcast this for free to classrooms all over the world. Anywhere you have an internet connection, you could have access to this content. So we're constantly trying to do that. Even if you go to our site right now, you can find many, many examples of free resources that are available to students and a calendar of events like this that happen all the time that we try to make available to all students in the future. And hopefully we can continue to do that specifically in partnership with Virtual Educa and Think Blue. And I just want to thank so much the government of Bahia with Virtual Educa. Jorge, thank you so much. Jose Maria. And we're really excited to continue the dialogue. Obrigada.
Thank you. Wonderful presentation. This is fantastic. This is very exciting. We can see now here the intersection between technology, innovation, outreach, education. This is fantastic. The STEM program is very much a solid program and widely recognized in the Americas and in North America specifically. And it's very inclusive and we're very happy to continue as well developing this further as well with partnerships. One thing, again, in Thinking Blue, the blue economy is very important. This is about conservation, about our oceans, about all the wonderful things that we love about the ocean, but it's also about our livelihoods, our future, and our present. It's not just about our future. This is a reality for billions of people around the world, island states, coastal states, including Salvador, right? If we look to our right, where the doors are open and soon after the event, we can see this massive, beautiful bay, and that's all ocean. And I see many ships out there, right? Guess what? That is maritime industry. Those are jobs right there. We need education. We need to prepare our young for these jobs of current jobs and of the future. So this is wonderful. I'm very excited that we are touching on the blue economy and we're all thinking blue. Remember our hashtags, Virtual Educa, hashtag Think Blue, right? Hashtag World Oceans Day. Fantastic. Okay, so continuing on, I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Mr. Aaron Roan, whom is the Director of Development and Partnerships at the Hydrous. They have some wonderful technology. This is going to be quite an exciting presentation as well. Everybody, thank you so much for all your support. This is going to be very exciting, and welcome.
Thank you, Jorge. It's always really exciting to hear someone introduce me with such, inspiration, and I hope that I can do the justice to bring that same energy. So my colleague Jim is actually going to be driving, so we're going to get a little bit, we're going to set up a little bit first. But I think I can first start by introducing myself. My name is Aaron, and I do work with the Hydrous, but I actually am officially employed by Google. And when I talk about the Hydrous, which is where I serve as a board of directors, as well as director of partnerships and development, which is so many titles, I'm sorry about that. What I want to do is talk a little bit about how I got involved, because I think that really illustrates why we do what we do and why I think it's so important. So we're going to wait for this to load for a second. But basically, when I think about the Hydrous, it's really my own story about how I got involved with ocean conservation. So when originally, many years ago, I was very passionate about environment. And when I first learned about the causes that the oceans faced, I heard about things like, why don't we move forward a little to the next slide? The next one. So these were kind of the causes that I learned about. And I'm sure a lot of the people in this room are experts of this. So we know about carbon dioxide going into the air. We know that they're raising the temperature of our oceans. And we know that's doing things like ocean acidification, which really affects the biodiversity and the life under sea. And we know how that is also raising our sea levels. Okay, is this a little bit better? Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. So the rising sea levels obviously is a big challenge because it's affecting our cities, and it's even, just as Jorge said, Salvador is going to be affected as the sea levels rise. And we as humans are also making local impact as well. So I learned about sustainable fishing, where we were extracting too much resources from our ocean, and that wasn't something that we could keep doing. And we learned, and we all know about pollution, about microplastics that we're putting in the water that is destroying our habitat. So all this were things I knew about, I learned about, and it's all really scary. And I was like, okay, I want to help. What do I do? I work at Google. It's a really big company, right? So if we go to the next slide, I learned about what the solutions were. We could curb emissions. We could enforce sustainable fishing practices. We could stop polluting. We could create marine protected areas, such like national parks, so we can preserve those ecosystems. And these were things that I said, great, I would love to do this, but they seem really distant. How does a guy, I work at Google where I just mostly sit behind a computer, create a marine protected area? I'm not going to go to a government and say, hey, this area is now protected, right? That's not feasible for someone like me. So, but at this point, this is where you figured I was so passionate, I would quit Google and then join the movement and become a superhero ocean conservationist. So if we move to the next slide, that did not happen. The very next day, I went to Google on my Google bike. We played volleyball. We ate lunch at our Google cafes. And for the most part, I forgot about what the ocean issues were, right? So I'm sure this is a story that you hear quite often, that we know what the problem is, we know the solution, but what do we as individuals do? So I didn't have an answer yet. So basically, when I went on my next vacation, I still liked the ocean. I went diving, and this is what I saw. So The definition is not great here, but this was a beautiful, vivid imagery for me. This immersion is really what kind of brought me closer to taking action. So the water right out there has coral reefs that look just like this, even though this is a picture of the Maldives. And that immersion is what really made me take all the education I knew about what the problems were into my heart and actually drive me to take action. So when I went back to Google, I found a project that we were doing that we were looking for data scientists like myself. It was called Global Fishing Watch. And we used machine learning, AI, basically to extract information from satellites to create this map right here. So this is on Google Maps technology, and each point is an individual vessel location where fishing is occurring. And that's a very powerful thing for sustainable fishing, because right now there's just no transparency. And you can even see, even though it's a little bit off screen, that there's a lot of fishing going right off outside the borders of Brazil, outside of Sao Paulo and Rio, and that's information that we never had before. So that's a really exciting thing. And then we're bringing transparency to fisheries through this little project. And now we're partnering with the governments of Indonesia, with Peru, with Costa Rica, to be able to do these really, really amazing things. So if you go to the next slide, why am I talking about this? What does this have to do with the Hydrous? So really what this is, even though it's a little bit cut off, is that this was my path to action. I learned about what the challenges were. I knew the solutions, but I didn't really take action until I immersed myself in the water and really discovered that there's this human connection that you make when you see what's going on, even though it was really distant before. And then that's what drove me to have impact with real, to take action and have that real impact. So that's the Hydrous. That's what we did. We realized that the education and the love combined is what you do to get people to take action. So we wanted to recreate that for everybody. And we started off by doing exactly what I did. We literally took people on land and moved them to the ocean and immersed themselves. Well, that sounds like we're drowning them. So we didn't drown them, but we took them on scientific expeditions so that we could show them about the education, about how to fall in love with the ocean at the same time. So if you go to the next slide, you can see some of what we did. We taught people how to use quadrats. This is a method in order for us to measure coral health. We took cutting-edge VR technology so we can recreate that immersion experience. And we even worked with the locals to show them what the waters look like underneath. And that's a really great story. So that little girl, her name's Aaliyah, and her father's last wish before he passed away was to basically ask her to become a scuba diver. And it was a really moving story, and she was like, I don't know how to do it, but what we said, this is how you do it. And we just gave her a headset, and she looked into it, and she's like, this is what I want to do for my life now. And that little story is very representative of what we're trying to do. It's just making them know, they know what they want to help, but making them fall in love with it is that key thing that pushes them over the edge. So we wanted to do these expeditions, but it just wasn't scalable. We were basically bringing 20 people at a time to let them fall in love with the ocean and educate themselves. So we didn't have the capacity to do it or the resources. But because I work at Google and I know a lot about technology, if you go to the next slide, if we're not able to bring all these people to the ocean, we can bring the ocean to them, right? So if you go to the next slide, this is an example of the content we created while on these expeditions. So on the top there, you see basically a coral that we left untouched, but took about maybe 50 to 100 pictures using just regular underwater cameras. And then we use mathematical algorithms to basically extract a 3D model, which you can do many things with, like 3D print. We were able to put it on the Smithsonian website, create things like coral bleaching, and just colorize it for artists and do a lot of really cool things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the projects we're doing. So this one might take a little bit to set up because it is a video, but because VR is such a cutting-edge technology, it's hard to show it on a 2D screen that's all part of a PowerPoint. But even though
How often do we get to visit other worlds?
So I know it's a little bit hard to say, but what I really want you to imagine is basically that
the ocean is this magical, complex, beautiful place that almost nobody sees it.
There are so many stories in our ocean. In the last 50 years, we've lost about half of our shallow water coral reefs on Earth. When you care about something that much, you know, it's really hard to see it change so quickly.
If you take it in a romantic way, the ocean is going to remain my first love.
It's so important to share what we love, to protect it.
So the next project we're working on is our partnership with the Smithsonian, where we're taking all those 3D models and putting it in a 3D viewer. And that's a really powerful thing, which hopefully if we can live demo that as well, live demo will never work perfectly, is that you can see basically Jim move this coral reef around in a way that is very interactive. And we all know how important interactions are to students. If they get engaged, then they're much more motivated to be learning. It might not be technical difficulties right now, but what we could do is basically you can spin that coral reef around, you can zoom in, zoom out, and look at specific parts that really helps with understanding how coral research works. And another part of this is that we're adding educational content in the tour. Okay, so it's working a little bit right now. But basically, Jim could press this tour button, and what that does is create a bunch of additional education content that we wrote on the side. So as a teacher, you can just go there, follow what's on the screen, and then it'd be an interactive environment for any student. And it's all available publicly on the web, free to download. Okay, so the last project I'm going to talk about is our Hydrous education kit. So Jim, if you can go back to the presentation. Okay, so the Hydrous Education Kit is a partnership we have with National Geographic. And what they said is that we love your content and we want to figure out how we make it accessible. So this is in the works right now, but what you see there is basically a bento box of 3D printed coral models. And what we can do with it is we can give it to teachers where they have a curriculum already written out, use all the content that you just saw. And one good example of that is that we have a really special 3D printed model that changes color with the temperature it's in. So you're able to create an environment just like you see there, change the temperature of the water, and show how coral bleaching is intertwined with the rising carbon dioxide and temperature. So we have a few cool stories about what we did. So this is the former president of the Maldives. His name is Mohammed Nasheed, and he's currently exiled. And one of the things we did was we met up with him at a UK conference, and then we talked a little bit about what he could do to save his country. Because right now, Maldives is known as a climate refugee nation. They're one of the first ones that will be completely engulfed with the rising sea levels. So we talked about that, but he also mentioned briefly that, it's really important that, or I just really miss my country. I want to see what it's like. So we basically said, well, here you go. This is what it looks like. And he was able to see the ocean underneath. And it was a really exciting and invigorating experience for him to be able to see the country that he misses so much. We do a lot of stuff with museums. So we work with the California Academy of Science a lot, as we're based in San Francisco. And we take these coral models, we take these 3D prints and teach a lot of scientists how to use them. This was a presentation we gave to coral scientists from Mexico and the Philippines. And you can see that there's a lot of research that you can do just by having these really cool models out here. And of course, the most important part is that we want to bring all this content into the classroom. And this is probably where we have the most difficulties, but this is where we're most inspired as well. So on these expeditions, we work with local education nonprofits. We go into the classroom and we show the students exactly the education kit that I explained a little bit about earlier. And basically what we want to do is take them through my path, which is let them learn about the ocean, but also let them experience it. And that combination of love and education is what is going to create these future marine conservationists, these future scientists, and so forth. So the last thing I want to mention is that all this is possible, just like a lot of my colleagues, through partnerships. They provide the resources, the funding, and we feel like we have a very good handle on creating this content. But what I would love to hope, and who I would want to talk to, is figure out how we distribute, how we get this content out. And maybe Bahia will be the first state in Brazil that has these great VR content that they have in the classroom, which would be one of the most cutting-edge educational initiatives, I think, out there. So my last slide is I want to end with this quote that really drives what we do. In the end, we will conserve only what we love, and we will love only what we understand, and we will only understand what we are taught. So that's what really drives us, and I want to thank Jorge for inviting us to talk a little bit about the Hydrous. We're a small organization of 20 people, so I really feel privileged to be on the panel with the distinguished speakers. The State of Bahia, Virtual Educa, Jose Maria, thank you so much. Thank you.
Excellent, fantastic. This is wonderful. By the way, everybody, throughout the forum, we had the Hydrous brought their virtual reality kits, and that video that Aaron showed, you could see it. You could be immersed in the ocean. And he brought it here today too, so we can, during our stand-up sessions, we can have a little bit of a look. So be sure to do that. And yes, we believe, and I also personally believe, that youth are very important at all ages. And startups, small businesses, entrepreneurial ventures, social entrepreneurial ventures, these are very key. And we need to support this. We need to support our young people. We need to support our ideas of innovation. They come from all walks of life. They come from all points of the world. And with this, we need to support. You don't have to be a senior level, this or that, to be inspiring or innovating. And I think youth really is important to support. That's the message. I love the quote also, by the way. That was very good. I agree 100%. Okay, we will then move on with the presentation, and I'd like to introduce a very important link between what we have seen here today, right now, as of now, so far, of the digital and the virtual interactions and the portals and platforms, to then take a step to the practical, take a step to the actual hands-on learning and how it is linked, especially in the marine industry, in the maritime industry, in conservation, in the blue economy. We need these technical, practical skills as well. And I'm very happy to welcome to the stage Mrs. Shelly Bengiat. She's the director and CEO of Envirotech Education, coming directly from Australia to discuss with us some of her projects on this linkage between the practical, the technical, and the digital. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Shelly. I come from Australia. I am the founder and director, CEO of Envirotech Education. We are home here, this amazing panel that brings so much innovation, the virtual Educa, and of course the World Bank for putting this together and for us being part of it. So vocational education is the space where we teach hands-on occupation, carpenters, electricians, and our vision is to define marine conservation and restoration specialization jobs, and operate three campuses in Australia. 2 of them are beachfront and 1 forest campus. We have a Utila field station where we actually already executed quite a lot of projects in creating coral nurseries. And I want to actually, before I continue to speak, to play a movie that actually touched my heart a lot, and it still does. It is amazing that it was exactly 26 years ago, on this same day, on this same time in June, in Brazil, in Rio. And it was a milestone for sustainability to actually become a recognized occupation. And we hope that the same will happen here, that we actually, as part of the blue economy, we'll acknowledge that there are new occupations that need to emerge so that we can actually do the job. So let's play the video.
I'm only a child and I don't have all the solutions. But I want you to realize, neither do you. You don't know how to fix the holes in our ozone layer. You don't know how to bring the salmon back up in a dead stream. You don't know how to bring back an animal now extinct. And you can't bring back the forest that once grew where there is now a desert. If you don't know how to fix it, please stop breaking it.
Wow, at 13 years old, 26 years ago. So what happened since then? What has changed? I think for me the first and most important powerful message is that we do know much more how to restore the damage that we have done. We acknowledge that nature and life can be regenerated and that there is an urgent need for immediate borderless restoration actions. Of course, we share the oceans and most of it we share in custody, and I feel that the action of naming, like we did 26 years ago, sustainability, now calling us to actually define and name new values, new occupations, because what doesn't have a name doesn't exist, but what does have a name we can actually identify and then create a strategy. So I was thinking about the fact that sustainability, our ability to sustain what is no longer sufficient because of all the damage that we have created and we diminished. So now it is a time to move to the next scale and actually think about restoration. And so I was playing with my kids about the names and the jobs and the definition, and the term restorability was the easiest for us to pronounce and really to see about how we can bring these values now to education. So ocean life may diminish if we continue to wait and allow the damage to happen, and this is how this project came about. So blue economy and blue education, we acknowledge that on land we do know what to do. We have professionals, we have practical skills, conservation, land management, foresters, but what happens in the ocean? So in the ocean we do have experts that study marine biology in universities, but we do not have the hands-on professionals. There is an educational glass ceiling that is a gap that we have identified between jobs in marine biology available for graduates of universities that studied in theory, while there are no jobs available for students that don't have the skills coming from vocational or technical studies because they simply don't exist yet. And on the other side of the coin, overqualified staff increase the conservation and restoration efforts. So to have a PhD taking photos in the water because they're part of a restoration project costs a lot. And we therefore understand that there are no defined jobs and there are many unemployed graduates at universities because they come without the hands-on experience. So we thought about names similar to the fact that we know for restoring the forest we need foresters and there is a job defined. So maybe coral should be appropriate for restoring corals. I don't know, but we need to think about those specializations, identify the jobs that are required to actually take the action and restore the ecosystem, and then bring it together into courses that are available for communities, and they really don't require to go for 3 years university. In fact, going into the ocean and putting those hands skills in can take months and can start from early age. So let's look about the program. And before we look about it, we do acknowledge that there are jobs. We can see some numbers about the Australian and US economy. There are a lot of investments in terms of funding to do restoration. And as we mentioned, most of them are basically going on very high salaries. And we can create a shift when we bring more cost-effective practical studies. So, vocational training in marine habitat conservation and restoration. Practical hands-on, project-based, and this is really important because we need to have projects so that we can actually ensure that we have jobs. We designed the courses to be starting from school level. So whilst we understand that yes, we do need to go into the water with kids, we created courses that are based to meet the locality where they live. So some areas require more focus on turtles, others on corals. And the project is to design units that are practical to engage students with their own heritage, with their own duties, to restore the order to their own areas. The second level for adults know how to dive, to then come and learn about how to learn about the area that they go into and preserve it. And finally, diploma and management courses that align with first year of university degrees. And we are hoping to actually be able to align our curriculum with universities so their graduates after 1 year already will have very practical hands-on skill to go and start practicing what they're passionate about. In the next slide, we will see a little bit about our vision in coming here. So combining materials in virtual learning, we saw different type of technologies and digital medias. So taking theoretical courses and also the particle units into the different platforms, virtual realities. And then on the other side, to have our first effort in our station in Utila to actually create groups of teachers that will come to us and will experience holistic projects from beginning to end and can then work together to create a network where they will go to different schools in different regions and then empower their own schools to teach their students and create a pathway, educational pathway. And all these technologies allow students that are kids that are very passionate about it to prepare for it with self-learning and reduction of costs and, most important, online collaboration. In this movie, in this short clip, I will show you basically how it's done. So we have here our experts from Israel that are our partners to this project that can discuss further if you would like to understand the techniques. I think it was a bit shorter, and we skipped a slide. So basically, the concept that you've seen here is a concept of creating coral restoration project and nurseries. So we know how to propagate trees, and we actually do know how to propagate corals. We discussed about the global warming and that specific type of corals have to then be propagated so that we can overcome different environment issues. As I finish the presentation, I would actually want to leave you with several questions that are: what type of educational, ecological, and vocational reforms are required to transit into the blue economy? How fast can marine habitat restoration practical jobs get into action? And how can marine restoration projects directly impact on the community development? We spoke about community development in length during the last days. And I feel that and merge it with sustainability type of education to explain the contact between what we do outside and what's happening inside, and assist in community development while supporting our shores and the marine life, because we are one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shelly. This is wonderful. All the way from Australia. This is great. We have such good folks here. Actually, I want to acknowledge as well the government of Australia and their representatives from the government of Australia to Brazil supporting their colleagues. This is very good. It's a good support. Truly a global forum in nature as originally intended. So this is fantastic. Last but not least, we'll go back a little bit to the digital realm and talk about lifelong learning. We have already been doing so at the professional level, at the different school levels, and also for children and early ages and gamification of ocean education as a whole. It's very important. And I want to welcome to the stage Mr. Diego Sales. He is the Brazil lead for Genius Plaza. Thank you very much, Diego, and I look forward to hearing your presentation. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Good morning, buenos dias, bom dia. Eu vou fazer essa apresentação em português. Sou do Genius Plaza. A gente é uma plataforma digital de educação, mas a gente é guiado pela nossa missão. A nossa missão é despertar o gênio em cada criança. A gente entende que existem gênios amplamente distribuídos na sociedade, mas apenas alguns têm oportunidade. Pensando nisso, a gente tenta democratizar a educação. Como? Mantendo um conteúdo igual, culturalmente relevante, ou seja, um conteúdo localizado, feito em cada região, para todas as crianças que utilizam a plataforma. Pensando nisso também, a gente sabe que no mundo a gente tem muita dificuldade na infraestrutura. Nem todos os países possuem internet disponível, uma banda estável, ou até mesmo dispositivos capazes de utilizar um conteúdo digital. Pensando nisso, a gente criou uma solução offline também, ou seja, um dispositivo que transmite um sinal Wi-Fi e conecta todos os dispositivos que estão naquele ambiente para usar um conteúdo digital. Mas a nossa missão não está baseada apenas em dar o conteúdo. O conteúdo ele pode ser ensinado de diversas maneiras, vídeos, um professor. O que a gente quer despertar mesmo é o protagonismo das crianças no desenvolvimento do processo de aprendizagem. Como que a gente desperta isso? Disponibilizando que elas criem conteúdo, que elas façam uma atividade, que seja um e-book, um vídeo, sobre um tema que foi dado em sala de aula. As crianças só aprendem quando elas executam. Pensando nisso, a nossa plataforma permite que essas crianças criem isso. Então, disponibilizar um conteúdo digital, mas não permitir que ninguém faça nada, é o mesmo que a gente colocar uma tela e mostrar um vídeo. Elas não vão executar, elas não vão refletir. Além disso, o que a gente cria ou disponibiliza vídeos sobre carreiras, as carreiras ligadas ao STEAM, ciências, matemáticas, artes, tecnologia. A gente mostra como esse ambiente para essa criança, para que ela já planeje o seu futuro. Apesar da gente saber que muitas das profissões que a gente tem hoje não vão existir daqui 15 ou 20 anos, a gente tem que despertar o conhecimento, despertar nas crianças despertar nas crianças essa busca, a busca pelo conhecimento. E fazendo nisso, elas se tornam protagonistas do processo de aprendizagem. A partir do momento que a gente coloca esse protagonismo, as crianças elas passam a ser empoderadas com a decisão do futuro das vidas delas, e com isso elas começam a despertar consciência. A gente pode falar em consciência já ambiental. Nossa plataforma ela acaba utilizando nessa consciência ambiental uma recompensa, ou seja, quem acaba estudando, aprendendo com os outros, o professor consegue dar dinheiro, entre aspas, virtual, e a criança consegue pensando nos oceanos, ela consegue adotar um animal, uma espécie em extinção. Adotando essa espécie em extinção, eu fiquei surpreso. No momento que eu fui preparar essa apresentação, eu fui olhar na nossa plataforma o que a gente tinha. Eu encontrei milhares de conteúdos sobre os oceanos e eu entendo que nem tudo aquilo está no currículo escolar. Quando eu fui ver, eu achei diversos vídeos. Pensando nesses vídeos, eu falei, nossa, a gente não está apenas educando, a gente está ensinando a serem cidadãos do mundo e começando desde pequeno. E aí, pensando nisso, né, e até fazendo até encurtando um pouco a minha fala, porque eu acho que os vídeos falam por si só.
So as you can see, this is the Caribbean, and these are the Caribbean countries. And there is one step that we can take to make the country's economy even better. We need to map, value, and identify the ocean's assets near the Caribbean. So our first step is to map the ocean assets. We need to know where they are, like coral reefs. Like there are some coral reefs near Cuba and Jamaica and Puerto Rico. And then we have hurricane-prone countries like Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. And after that, we need to identify these ocean assets. We need to know what we have to do. We need to know that we need to know how to protect the coral reefs. We need to know how to handle hurricane relief, hurricane disaster. We need to know how to get the waste and garbage out of these oceans. And our last step is to value these ocean assets. We need to put into action what we're going to do. Like we need organizations to protect these coral reefs, and we need policies. We need organizations that handle hurricane relief in these specific countries. And we need organizations that take out waste and garbage from the oceans. And we need people to do this too. And this is just one way out of many that can help improve the economy of these islands.
Bom, esse vídeo, a gente vê que realmente a plataforma acaba despertando o senso crítico nas crianças. E despertando o senso crítico, acaba despertando também a consciência ambiental. E aí, para finalizar, eu queria usar um provérbio chinês, que é o que a gente pode pensar com a educação.
So, as you can see, this is...
A gente pode dar um peixe a um homem faminto, mas a gente só vai alimentar ele por um dia. Mas se a gente ensinar ele a pescar, a gente vai estar alimentando ele pelo resto da vida. Então, obrigado.
Thank you very much. Very good. Fantastic. Thank you. Great. This has been such a wonderful session. So sorry. This has been wonderful. Thank you for all my panelists. And now, I'd like to invite all the panelists up to the stage. Let's go ahead and grab a seat. There's a little bit of water up here as well. We're going to have a little discussion. And I want some audience participation, everybody. We've heard so many interesting things today so far. We talked about games and platforms. We talked about practical learning. We talked about 3D models and virtual reality and curated material available in museums. I mean, this is a wealth of knowledge and information and tools and technology and minds up here. Globally speaking, this is fantastic. So I want some questions from you guys. Anybody has any thoughts? For any of our specific speakers, feel free to ask something that you feel passionate about or have a question about. I see a question up here up front. One of our colleagues. Somebody has a microphone to pass around? Here's one. I will also be restating the question just in case.
English or Portuguese?
English ideally, but either way. Thank you.
Meu nome é Eduardo Ataíde, eu sou... primeiro, eu gostaria de dar as boas-vindas a vocês como cidadão de Salvador, como diretor da Associação Comercial da Bahia. English?
Excuse me, sorry. Either one. Continue though, I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that, Mr. Eduardo. Continue, please. Thank you.
Como eu estava dizendo, eu sou Eduardo Ataíde, eu sou cidadão, nascido na beira da Baía de Todos os Santos, e gostaria de dar as boas-vindas a vocês. Sou diretor da Associação Comercial da Bahia, eu sou também diretor do World Watch Institute em Washington. Gostaria de, primeiro, perguntar de que forma nós podemos, como organização local, como Bahia Chamber of Commerce, como organização local, nós poderíamos estabelecer parcerias com as várias instituições para darmos seguimento ao projeto que nós temos aqui de construção de uma agência de gestão da Bahia de Todos os Santos. A Bahia de Todos os Santos, como vocês podem ver aqui na frente, foi declarada como capital da Amazônia Azul. Esse forte do mar que vocês veem aí na frente era conhecido pelos navegadores antigos como umbigo da América Latina. Nós temos feito várias parcerias ao longo dos últimos 10 anos com várias instituições internacionais, através da Associação Comercial da Bahia e através de outras instituições internacionais, como o World Watch Institute. Bom, como WWE, eu venho participando nos últimos 20 anos das COPs internacionais, de vários movimentos internacionais. E nessa virada da economia analógica para a economia digital, nós ficamos sempre procurando um indicador. Como que nós sabemos qual é o indicador que nos coloca...
Mr. Eduardo, please ask your question.
Ok. Qual que é o indicador que nos indica que estamos na economia digital? O indicador é quando vemos palestra como a que vocês fizeram aqui e nos esquenta o coração. Esse é o indicador, primeiro indicador biológico.
Thank you, Mr. Eduardo. Let's answer that. I apologize. I don't mean to cut you off, but we do want to take more questions. I love the question though. What is the indicator? What is talk about measurements? Talk about also relationships locally speaking with local authorities and local communities and Chamber of Commerce. How or what could be potential linkages of different technologies and platforms and ideas and connections that you bring here forward today, specifically to Bahia, since this is Bahia dos Santos, as Eduardo mentioned, and it's quite a heritage for the Brazilian people. So anybody has a thought from our panelists? And before we move on, hang on to that thought. I want to welcome, with a warm welcome, to the Latin American Parliament, whom have arrived. They have been here holding their meeting yesterday and also this morning. And this includes senators and policy leaders from all over Latin America and the Caribbean. And they are right now have arrived. So welcome, warm welcome to the back. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. We have a little bit of an answer here from Mrs. Stephanie Norby, Director of the Smithsonian Learning Lab. Thank you.
As far as indicators, there are two ways Smithsonian might work with you. The Smithsonian has a research base for studying water in Panama, but they are looking at all of South America, and there is also a research base on the Chesapeake Bay that is looking at the interaction of land and water, and perhaps a collaboration with those researchers on thinking about indicators. As far as digital education, my office has been working with other countries where perhaps there is a fellowship and curriculum coordinators from your country come to our office. We give them space, computers, and for a period of time they use our resources to construct curriculum that makes sense for what is taught in your community. And they add resources from the local community, from other museums, in order to teach the children. And this has provided us an opportunity to learn from each other and yet to customize it based on your particular needs.
I would like to add that the model that we would like to achieve from this forum is to have the opportunity to send experts that actually can come, dive, for example, analyze, and put together a set of skill sets, units that are specifically addressing the local need. And then through this really wonderful forum, the content, the practical content can be emerged into different. Students are actually being able to see and emerge in understanding their specific issues and communicating to their parents through practical conservation projects that we could then prepare. So the real indicator for me is that lives are coming back and we've really achieved the conservation outcomes that we set in the blue economy. So I think that really the collaboration that we can put together through this panel and through this event, this is really the main indicator, is our ability to restore life. And I wanted to really thank the opportunity that we have, the Australian Embassy, the Parliament members. We have different governments coming here together and different institutions, and the indication is by that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If are there any more thoughts around? It's okay if not at the moment. Just for general information for the members of the Latin American Parliament, we have up here, we have Mrs. Stephanie Norby, who spoke. This is the director of the Smithsonian Learning Lab. We also have Mr. Emanuel Alencar. He's the content manager at the Museu do Amanhã in Rio de Janeiro. We have Mrs. Lauren Conn. She's the director of partnerships at Discovery Education. We have Mr. Aaron Roan, Director of Development and Partnership at the Hydrous. Mrs. Shelly, whom just spoke, she's the Shelly Bengiat. She's the Director and CEO of Envirotech Education, joining us from Australia. And we have Mr. Diego Sales from Genius Plaza. He's the Brazil lead. We're going to continue with questions. Please feel free to ask more questions, the audience. Anybody, we have some good potential participation here from the audience. We've heard so far of all the wonderful tools and platforms and learning opportunities here. And as Mr. Diego mentioned at the end, bringing this change of mindset, a life that is possible because of our oceans, right, on today's day. So more questions are appreciated. I see we have our colleague from the Caribbean organization, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. She has a question. I'll ask you to please come up here and I'll give you the microphone. And if you want to direct your question to one of our panelists, you can do so. Otherwise, we can answer it generally. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for your presentations. They were excellent. But it leads me to think, and my question is, there's been a lot of effort from your end, and I'm speaking to all of the panelists, but could you give like a concrete example or two where your efforts have led to a policy change and actually impacted positively on oceans in that sense? So a concrete example where decision-making has been impacted and it has led to a positive change or positive impact for our oceans. Thank you.
Fantastic question. A concrete example where efforts have led to policy change and action on oceans in the blue economy. Now, this, our speaker, our question came from Mrs. Susanna Scott. We'll hear later from her as well. She is the representative of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, representing 10 Eastern Caribbean countries, and also a big, the owner of Think Blue, as we'll see a little later. Anybody wants to answer, take this question? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Alencar. Thank you.
Falando especificamente da Baía de Guanabara, que é a Bahia que nos envolve e que nós estamos em contato diariamente lá no Museu do Amanhã e agora abordando ela de uma maneira mais profunda nesse novo interativo, nós percebemos que a nossa decisão de amplificarmos, de sermos um observatório da Baía da Guanabara, ela obrigou o governo, de certa forma, ou constrangeu o governo estadual a admitir que a meta de despoluir em 80% a Baía de Guanabara para os Jogos Olímpicos de 2016 era completamente inexequível, era completamente sem pé nem cabeça. Então, o governo, ele apresentou lá no Museu do Amanhã, como resultado de um segundo programa de despoluição, chamado PESAM, Programa de Despoluição dos Municípios do Entorno da Baía de Guanabara, apresentou isso em 2016, um seminário para apresentar à população os resultados desse programa, no qual o governo reconhece que hoje o índice de tratamento de esgotos na bacia hidrográfica da Guanabara, onde vivem 8,5 milhões de pessoas em 16 municípios, está em 35%. Durante muito tempo, em 2013, 14, 15, o governo botava esse número para 50% e estimando ser plenamente possível chegar em 80% de tratamento de esgotos. Acontece que quando essa informação ela é passada para a sociedade, isso chega de maneira muito simplificada e a partir do momento que você não cumpre a meta, isso cria um enorme problema na sociedade, uma enorme frustração e ninguém acredita mais que seja possível recuperar o ecossistema. Então, é preciso ser muito claro, a partir do momento que você determina metas, do que você está falando, tá certo? Você não pode falar 80% de despoluição, você tem que falar 80% de quê? É de lixo, é de esgoto. Então, acho que a gente conseguiu caminhar, pelo menos no sentido de o governo reconhecer que estamos muito longe do ideal de 80% de tratamento de esgotos, que a Guanabara hoje, fundamentalmente, tem esse maior passivo, que é o esgotamento sanitário. A questão das indústrias, ela avançou de 1975, quando o órgão ambiental estadual foi criado, para cá, sem dúvida alguma, muito por conta não só da fiscalização ambiental, mas por conta das imagens das empresas no exterior. Qualquer vazamento hoje de esgotos na bacia, isso rapidamente corre o mundo, tá certo? Então, nesse aspecto de esgotamento sanitário, conseguimos, pelo menos, fazer com que o governo admita que o percentual de tratamento hoje seja de 35% e que não vamos resolver o problema aplicando 1/5 dos recursos necessários a curto prazo. Então, eu acho que o interativo Baías de todos nós, ele contribuiu vai vir a contribuir muito mais para colocarmos pingo nos is, e travarmos com a sociedade, com a população do Rio de Janeiro e de outros estados do mundo, um cenário atual para efetivamente para que possamos pensar onde queremos chegar, Se a gente não tem nem o índice sendo divulgado da maneira adequada, da maneira honesta, fica muito difícil a gente caminhar.
Thank you very much. You can keep it to then pass it to Mrs. Stephanie Norby, who has or anybody along the way who wants to answer.
We come representing education, and the effort that we have made to change policies is directly in the education systems, starting in Australia. And this was the identification of the gap that exists in vocational studies, and we therefore work with the Australian government to identify the skill sets, recognize them, name them, and change the entire country education system. For me, it was a very exciting project that we are still in the process of, and we are hoping to do the same in countries all around the world, and then create a workforce of students, young adults, that are actually part of the coastal environment that can actually assist in this project. So changing educational policies, this was our investment.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Mrs. Stephanie, who has the microphone.
This is a very interesting question. In the United States, there have been many efforts at citizen science projects. What those projects are to do is to engage the public in conducting research and understanding the scientific practices and contributing to that knowledge. The National Science Foundation funded an extensive study to see what was the value of those citizen science projects. What they found is that often the data collected by students, but collected by citizens, was not reliable. But what they did find is that when they engaged the public in measuring data, starting to see the change, whether it was accurate or not, in combination with scientists, they developed the local will for a change. And they found that unless they had ways of engaging the local citizenship in combination with good science, that's what led to change in policy. The Smithsonian has experimented with this, not in the oceans, but with land. There are many international collaborations among scientists to measure changes in tree growth as a result of science change. We worked out a protocol where students in their schoolyards could measure tree growth, upload that data, and start to make comparisons and analysis. What that did is it allowed students to understand their local context, but to also see that it is interconnected and to see the changes happening around the world. Something similar could be done with oceans, and I think it follows with your work on getting students engaged in doing that actual work.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side of the room? Mrs. Lauren Conn?
I was just going to add very quickly, and thank you for the question. I mentioned earlier we have a partnership with the government of Egypt, and I didn't want to go over my 10 minutes earlier, but just quickly I would just add that that partnership has evolved into our curriculum team consulting and collaborating on the development of a transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary curriculum that the government of Egypt is introducing at the early primary grades starting this coming school year, starting in September. So that's based on a new service that we have that's called STEM Connect, and we built interdisciplinary units that are based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the Global Engineering Challenge. So some dedicated to getting students to work collaboratively. It's project-based learning to solve the great global challenges like reducing waste in our oceans, tackling the problem of climate change, even from a very early age. So that is actually what we're implementing in Egypt in partnership with the Ministry of Education. That's their new national curriculum.
Excellent. Quick thought,
Sure.
so we can move on.
So I just wanted to add to that because you mentioned the UN's SDG, and I think one of the discussions that should be more prevalent when we talk about education is that often when you think about ocean causes, the investments in there are very near-term impact measurements. And for Global Fishing Watch, which is a project I mentioned that Google was working on, we're starting to see that even though we're providing the data and doing the things that we're supposed to do as part of these investments from our foundations and funders, the ones that have the most impact are the ones that also are willing to invest in education on those same levels. So that's kind of like for OECS, I imagine like when you think about funding projects, make sure that you're not only looking at the impact that you're trying to make, but also funding the education that supports that, because that engagements from the locals is what really kind of combines to make the real change.
Excellent. Thank you very much. In the spirit of moving towards finishing on time, we're going to take one more question. And I've had a question here front for a little while from Mr. Roca. You can introduce yourself. Please, let's make it very brief, and then we'll have a very brief snapshot of responses from some of our panelists, and then we'll have some closing thoughts, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is Gene Roca. I'm with Genius Plaza. First of all, congratulations. Phenomenal presentation, phenomenal panel. We have here think tank, museums, private industry, the public world. Question is, we have to invest in education. We are here to celebrate oceans. What are the best tools to educate future generations in order to improve our knowledge of the oceans and our ocean economy as well? Thank you.
Fantastic. Very good, succinct question. What are the best tools to educate our future and our present ocean economy participants? Around the panel, please feel free to take that one. Anybody? Lauren? Or yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to say discovery education. No, I'm just kidding. No, I thank you for the question. I mean, I think from our perspective, having a variety of dynamic resources that connect students with the real world and give purpose and meaning behind their learning and let them access content from different perspectives is what we strive to do to make an impact on teaching and learning.
Thank you.
I agree that creating the educational reform is a multidimensional aspect that connect, first of all, empowering communities to take action as a community, to actually go to the beach, create cleaning day, giving education about waste management, alongside teaching those practical skills to take action, and of course supported by all the digital and networking tools that we have together, and most important, working with governments to ensure that we can actually achieve a practical outcome with all the teaching that we do, so that there will exist projects and resources for creating such restoration outcomes. So it actually calls for a collaborative effort from all of us, from private, public, and different sectors.
Thank you. We have a thought on that side of the panel as well.
Oi, a melhor ferramenta que a gente acha, né, pensa para melhorar a educação sobre os oceanos, eu acho que é despertar a consciência ambiental desde as crianças. Então, começando com as crianças, mostrando para ela o que está em extinção e, com isso, mostrando, inclusive, as carreiras, treinando quais são essas carreiras do futuro, despertando quem que vai criar os corais, como que vão fazer os corais para crescer de novo, se isso é possível. Então, eu entendo que a gente tem que mostrar as carreiras desde o princípio e mostrar como que estão fazendo hoje, porque essa provavelmente vai ser uma das profissões do futuro.
Exactamente. Very good. Thank you very much. I want to offer our panelists a round of applause from everybody. Please, with enthusiasm, it's World Oceans Day. Very good. Thank you very much. Again, I agree 100%. The world of today, of tomorrow, and of the future, we understand it now. We don't have to wait for the future. We know what the trends are. We know what the science and the economics are telling us. And it is telling us that we will have a blue world. We already do. If you look at the map, most of it is blue. So please keep on thinking blue. Keep on thinking about the blue economy and our opportunities with the ocean. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, our panelists, and I want to welcome you to step out of the stage. And I want to also welcome Mr. Jose Maria Anton, the Secretary General of Virtual Education, and you can, shake hands as you walk down. Sorry.
Hola, vamos a mudar de computador para esto. Hay que tener sonido.
Thank you, Mr. Jose Maria. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't go anywhere. We will have a fantastic presentation. Jose Maria is going to welcome our next speaker.
Muchas gracias. Como ven, el proyecto va tomando forma. Ya saben que es un proyecto supported by the World Bank and powered by Virtual Educa. Ya saben, hay palabras en español que no se acaban de traducir bien. Power todavía no hemos encontrado, en inglés está claro lo que es. Supported, sí, apoyado, es un proyecto del Banco Mundial. Y power, gestionado, coordinado por Virtual Educa. A continuación va a estar con ustedes. Bueno, les adelanto, mientras acaban de preparar la presentación, que una vez acabe el siguiente orador su presentación, va a haber una presentación corta muy especial de la Marina de Brasil, que saben que tiene sus barcos, su oceanográfico aquí abajo, para luego, los que quieran ir, una presentación de la Marina de Brasil sobre los proyectos que están desarrollando en el ámbito del mantenimiento de los océanos. Piensa en Azul, no son solo océanos, y lo son. Son industrias del mar, son agua, es sostenibilidad, la habilidad de sostener el mundo, como saben, sustainability, habilidad de sostener el mundo. Y posteriormente haremos la declaración por la que se crea el proyecto, por la que lanzamos el proyecto. Muchas gracias a los parlamentarios de la reunión de la Comisión de Educación que han estado trabajando ayer y hoy y se han desplazado especialmente a estar aquí con nosotros. Es la Comisión de Educación, Ciencia, Tecnología, Cultura y Comunicación del Parlamento Latinoamericano. Y esperemos y seguiremos a lo largo del día para finalizar firmando un acuerdo y después clausurando este evento y presentando el siguiente. La persona que va a hablarles a continuación tiene una amplia experiencia en el mundo corporativo y en el mundo de la educación. Lleva muchos años trabajando para Intel, del que es actualmente General Manager del Global Education Sector a nivel mundial de la compañía Intel. Intel, ya saben ustedes que son el referente de la innovación, no solo en educación, sino en computación y en ICTs, pero en educación siempre han tenido un papel muy importante. Mi amigo y compañero de muchas batallas por hacer que en el mundo de los diversos países se vaya incorporando poco a poco una nueva manera de ver la formación de recursos humanos y al mismo tiempo eso permita que las economías pasen a globalizarse y por lo tanto a ser sostenibles. Mi amigo Brian González les va a hablar hoy de The Ocean Education's Finest Frontier, la frontera en donde nos encontramos en la educación de los océanos desde la perspectiva de una de las grandes corporaciones que han hecho un cambio de civilización como es Intel. Intel, como recordaba antes, en el día 13 de octubre del año 2016, Brian y yo mismo anunciamos la intención de crear un foro global sobre innovación en educación. No pudimos hacerlo antes en Silicon Valley por circunstancias que no vienen al caso, pero para nosotros es un placer estar aquí juntos de nuevo y anunciarles a ustedes que este foro ha sido un gran foro. Muchas gracias, Brian González, bienvenido.
Muchas gracias, José María. ¿Mi micrófono? Primero que todo, muchas gracias, José María. Muchas gracias, equipo de Virtual Educa. Los sponsors. Voy a hacer la presentación en inglés. However, I am a witness to experts. I've seen the amazing work that's been done here in Brazil, in Salvador, all throughout the country. I've seen what's been done. I just got back from Egypt, where there's an important new initiative around education. And in a couple weeks, I'll be traveling to China, the Philippines, and in Australia. So I am on a lifelong lesson around education. And I spend most of my life, I think, over the ocean, flying from one place to another. So I want to talk about education and the role around the oceans. From my perspective, and I spent some time with Sandra and some of the organizers in terms of the topic, and I wanted to talk about this new frontier. But I look at the ocean from the perspective of education. It's the finest frontier. We heard it today, the gentleman who said so wonderfully, I believe that video was from Panama, I believe. He said that the ocean is a gift from God. We've seen with the work that from the panel, the distinguished panel before me, the value and the opportunity to learn, to explore, to save that we have with the ocean. But are we preparing our children to go on that journey? So I want to take you back, instead of going down into the ocean, but maybe going back into space. And I'm sure these are artifacts that can be seen in any dimension at the Smithsonian Institute. But if you look at when we prepared for the new frontier of space travel in the early and late 60s, we really focused on the talent. So know that we had certain equipment that was needed to complete the journey, to continue the journey, to learn while we're in the journey. So the same thing here applies, in my mind, to education. Are we preparing our students the way that they needed in the 60s, and in Egypt, they needed 4,000 years ago when they were building the pyramids? These are fundamental for humans in terms of our exploration, using, in some cases, technology to amplify our capabilities. But critical thinking, collaboration, problem solving, technology literacy, the technology of the time, is what's really, in my mind, fundamental. It was important for those space travelers, and it's going to be important for our children if they travel in space or they go to the deepest parts of the ocean, which is what we want to talk about today. The next part that I want to bring to you is something that has become very obvious in my travels. In the early stages of my work around education with Intel, it was all about access, making sure that kids had access to these amazing knowledge bases. And what we've seen today with the work from Discovery, Smithsonian, and all the wonderful presentations that we saw earlier, there's absolutely a lot to tap into, and access is important. But we have to move away from that, in my opinion, and not move away from those great centers of resources, but move away from using technology just for access. That is great, but we need to be explorers, innovators, and creators. And as Stephanie said, we need our kids to be protagonists in this new world of technology with the amazing video early on that we saw speak on Earth Day many years ago. Sorry, am I covering? You can tell me, David. Can be in a lot of different disciplines. Technology will play a role in that, and your ability, our kids' ability to more than just consume, but get engaged in the technology is going to be absolutely critical. And we see that growing. Some studies say 77% within the next 10 years. I believe it's much improved on it. So that creates an opportunity for us to work together in collaboration, the industry with government, with teachers, with parents, to really bring education to the next level and make sure that we incorporate, like we saw the work in some of the vocational schools, make sure that there's a sense of employability. But not to just get a job, but as Thomas Friedman said, our children need to create new jobs, to bring new opportunities for themselves that need to come forward. This screen is flickering, but this isn't, so I'm happy with that. Sorry, get distracted with that screen. So that opportunity to create that employability or job creation has to be founded also in more than just believe that these are fundamental to increase country competitiveness, where we've seen in many countries where that has happened. And we see also that these are the required competencies to take advantage of the technologies in the local context and get the most benefit for the local population. We see that there's an opportunity to boost the economies with these types of projects, to really bring in new capabilities. I was visiting an organization that I'll talk about a little later yesterday. I spent 6 hours with them learning how they're engaging their students with technology and entrepreneurship and creating new businesses from these opportunities, and I'll share one example of that. We see also that technology applied in a way that brings value to all also allows us to reach to the furthest areas that are typically underserved by technology. And education and technology coming together in those underserved areas is a lot of the work that at Intel we do. We focus on the toughest problems and try to look at that. And many times we use our best researchers to look at a problem in a different way or look at an opportunity in a different way. So it's my pleasure now to share with you a short video that talks about Intel's work around the ocean, where we bring multiple technologies. We bring artificial intelligence, data analytics, machine language, 5G technologies, and autonomous vehicle technology, in this case, aerial vehicle technology. So it's my pleasure to share this video of the work that we have done with important organizations that are looking out there for the future of our oceans.
Life began in the ocean, and to this day, life still depends on it for our very survival. In fact, every second breath we take is from the ocean.
So beautiful, but the reality is the oceans are downhill from everything. All of humanity's garbage is washing down into our oceans. That said, I'm a believer.
With more data about whales, we can learn how much. And I thought, you know what? To be this stinky, there's got to be something good going on, and hence snot bottle. Taking off. 3, 2, 1. Into the world of whales in a non-invasive manner, and because of that, we're seeing things and collecting data that we really never imagined before. I mean, how cool is this? This is our first flight, and I'm sorry, chaps, but we're dripping with snot here. Unbelievable. We're running two principal avenues of research here right now. One is the biological data, and the second one is the physical attributes of the animal.
That's a good full body shot. Look at the pecs on that guy.
What's so exciting here is that the live video data stream is being processed on the boat, and it's almost like a facial recognition software on the tail that's identifying the animal. Our artificial intelligence algorithm gives us amazing insights into other important data like whale weight and nutrition. We can even begin to compare the health of specific whales with their pod and the oceans around them.
Here is the raw video feed from the drone flight, and we can match that up with who it belongs to.
So it's
against the known database.
Identifying it, seeing how healthy it is, all happening in real time.
Exactly.
Incredible. And purple is my favorite color.
All right, good choice.
It's amazing to be flying over these animals and looking down how graceful they are, honestly, how majestic they are.
Oh man, look at that guy.
Woo. With the collaboration between Intel and Parley for the Oceans, we're merging the worlds of technology and conservation, and the massive amount of data we are capturing could be the missing link. The health of our whales, the health of our seas, our health. It's all interconnected. The research we are doing is vital to better understand our oceans and humanity's very survival.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Obviously, this is the kind of work that Intel loves to do, where we can partner with experts and look from our engineering perspective, how do we solve these problems? How do we bring new opportunities? And I think all of us in this room are on that mission, to look at the ocean as, in conservation, it's a lifesaver, but also there's new opportunities for our children to be part of that next generation that really looks at the ocean as a key asset in their lives. At Intel, I'll keep it really simple. We focus our education efforts on these 4 pillars. We look to support and amplify the work around computational thinking and actions. Not just programming, but actions that come from that effort. We look at innovation and entrepreneurship as tightly coupled. The next great job for our kids will be the jobs that they create for themselves and the values that they bring to their community. We believe that there's a lot of data that can help students in the way that they learn. We saw some great examples of amazing content that is available, and that type of effort is one that's going to enrich students in terms of their learning, help them engage, and empower teachers to take them to that next level. And lastly, but equally related to all those pillars, is that of employability and job creation. That is important for the growth of the community. That's important for the aspirations of their children, that they can do these growth opportunities locally, that they don't have to go anywhere else but where they need to be and want to be to get their job done. And talking about that, I was getting my job done, which is go and learn what's happening locally. And I went to Smithsonian, a company not too far from here, and also a sponsor here of the events here in Bahia, a virtual Educa. And I had a lesson. I had a lesson of what's possible. This is a picture literally taken yesterday. My colleague Anna, who's out there, and David that you saw, Anna's based here in Bahia. They shared something to me that I thought, you know, these drones are cool, but what's happening in Bahia is equally cool and super relevant. So I wanted to share that video.
BG Brazil is one of the funding members of the Brazilian Institute of Robotics, short BIR. The BIR is a Sinai Semitech nonprofit research institute. The goal of Project Flatfish is to develop a lightweight, cost-efficient, subsea resident autonomous underwater vehicle, complying with BG's inspection, operation, and performance requirements. With the capability of being launched and recovered directly from an FPSO or a platform, or residing subsea at a docking station, the project eliminates the need for specialist personnel and support vessels. On the surface, an operator can set a mission very easily by selecting the type of mission, the inspection target, and how often he wants it to be inspected. The AUV's onboard artificial intelligence controls the mission's execution. A multimodal vision acoustic feature navigation allows for higher precision and closer structure inspection without the dependency on special additional infrastructure or a support vessel. A new optic acoustic technology provides 3D vision of the subsea infrastructure in 2K resolution and with high precision. Flatfish continuously replans its mission based on sensory input and faults during the entire mission, enabling safe navigation in the ever-changing subsea world. 6 hubless ring thrusters allow for hovering with precise maneuvers while being robust to debris. Forward and downward-looking stereo cameras, laser line projectors, and multiple sonars enable the detailed inspection of structures, pipelines, and flow lines. As soon as the mission is completed, the AUV automatically returns to its docking station, recharges the internal battery, and transmits inspection data to service. The resulting data is presented in an intuitive way with structure-based browsing, trend analysis, and automatic alarms. BG's Flatfish aims to be the new standard of industry best practice for subsea integrity assurance. Its goal is to reduce the environmental, economical, and human risks while cutting 30 to 50% in current operational costs. In addition to creating the prospect of world-class advances in robotic technology, specifically targeted at the needs of the oil and gas industry worldwide, BG boosts the ability of Brazil to manufacture and export cutting-edge robotic systems.
When I saw this effort that's done here in Brazil, I thought it was really cool. When it was here in Bahia, right, in Salvador. And not only that, what's super important is that the work that's being done is in a vocational school context where there is an amazing blend of education and technology to solve real-world problems here locally. And this technology is now being exported around the world. The other thing that I saw in the organizations that I met yesterday, this desire to look at best-known methods around the world. Cooperation with Germany, to look at their models for vocational training and adopting them, localizing, and in my mind, improving on them and making them effective here for the Brazilian context. That's what the best cases of education are, where you marry the commitment with the collaboration and create a community of learning. And around that, the focus needs to be on our kids, on innovation. And you know a lot of these things because a lot of you have much more experience than I do in the educational sector. But you know that coding and programming and physical computing and robotics are things that are not just for makers, they're for creators. They're for the folks that are going to learn to use this technology in the context of a problem that they're trying to solve. But how do we move that to happen faster? Where do we start? Well, from Intel's perspective, one of the things that we want to do is to bring innovation for everyone, everywhere, and anytime. And the way we do that in the educational context has to be the very best technology at the most affordable prices. Because it's absolutely important to consider that. I remember meeting with a minister and said, hey, this is great. I want to do technology, but I have two options. Toilets or tablets? Which one should I do? You really need both, but you need some basic infrastructure first. I get that. So what can the industry do so we can make these innovative products much more affordable? I'm happy to show and share today a project that Intel did in collaboration with educators, with companies involved in robotics, with the finest drone makers around the world, to build a device for education that is a drone. This drone, and I've been involved in the drone industry about 5 years myself, it has about $1,500 worth of technology that is available today for under $100 for students to use. And it's absolutely wonderful. I gave one to one of my colleagues, and I want to share what happened in that context. He sent me a video, and I don't know if I can play this video. Yeah, I think I can. And this is at his home. He had gotten this drone. Did a flip. I'm like, wow, that's cool. And then landed it. So he sent me this video, and I said, that's great. But wait a minute, how did you do that? Because from what I understand, you need to program that. He said, yeah, programmed in Scratch. Scratch is MIT's programming tool that's available to many universities, especially actually many schools, because it's really intended for younger folks. So MIT has provided that as a free download in a lot of different platforms. And I'm like thinking to myself, okay, the video was cool, okay, little flip, you did it in code, but you're not a programmer, and I know you know nothing about Scratch. And he said, yeah, here's the developer, his 9-year-old daughter, okay? So she took, true story, she took her dad's new toy, because it does look like a toy, and she knows Scratch better than any person on my team, by the way. And she programmed the drone herself. And this little drone is absolutely designed to be able to just about fly anywhere and designed in a way, and the next version of this will actually be transparent. So you'll be able to really get into how it works. But the best way to fly this drone is to program it. You can use a PC to program it, you can use a Chromebook to program it, and you can then fly it very easily with your phone. But when you do this, you really need to be programming it, okay? So I'm going to do a little demo here at the risk of risk-taking here to an extreme, and maybe we can fly our little drone here. If I haven't lost a connection, which I'm gonna put my phone down here for a second. I mean my, won't be as fancy as she was because, you know, she's a developer. All right, I know it's hard to hear. But we will fly the drone. That's okay. I don't need that. Okay. You don't want me to have that when I'm flying all over the. This is a drone that's designed to fly indoors. It has the most sophisticated sensor cameras at the bottom, so it keeps a distance. This level, you can't see it, those people in the front, but this level of technology, look at the stability on this, it has no GPS. Because it's really meant for a child to really play with it how to play. Now, I'm not as fancy as my colleague's daughter, but she did show me a trick. See if I can do it. She showed me how to program it in a way where I can do a flip. I can do a sideways flip. And that's what I learned from a 9-year-old, okay? That 9-year-old. So she's flown it a bunch of times. She taught her brother how to fly it. She taught her dad and her dad's boss. So she's doing okay. She also taught me how to land it. But am I good? Okay. I'm just telling you, she shared me how to land it, so I should land it. And there we go. Call my developer, right? Whoop, there we go. Safely landed. There you go. But you can see, for the folks' benefit, it's pretty light. It's pretty light, not too heavy, won't hurt anybody. It's made with very safe motors that if you put your finger, it'll stop. If you put it long enough, it'll break the blade. Again, the design is that for kids to go and explore and go be part of the type of research that Intel loves to do. Okay, in the interest of time and picking up the right pointer, again, we believe that the classroom can be, and the kids working together, and not just in the classroom, but inside and outside the classroom, the engine of innovation. So I want to share with you really quickly, in the couple of minutes I have left, what I have learned of what works and what doesn't work in terms of bringing innovation into the educational context. And I'll be really fast with this. First of all, don't position any of these activities, and the guy from Intel told you, as a technology project. It's not. It's about learning something different, something relevant, that is in the context of what the kids are learning already or want or need to learn. That is number one. When you say we're going to bring in technology to the school, that's the wrong approach. We're going to amplify the way that we're learning. We're going to empower teachers. We're going to enrich and engage the kids. That's the right approach. And I mean that sincerely. It's the best thing you can do. If you limit it to the classroom, it will not work. So these are things not to do, right? You want, when that technology was being used by that young girl, it was in her home, in the safety of that she may not make it work right, but she can experiment at home as much as in the classroom. For the ministers of education and secretaries of education, the education of our kids, of your kids, is too much of a task just for you. You need to engage with other ministries, innovation, infrastructure, even transportation, and bring those capabilities into the education sector. It's a national level project. It's not just a project of one ministry. The other thing I highly recommend is when you do a pilot, don't call it a pilot. Unless you're a pilot, you're going to fly a plane, you don't want to do pilots. This is the first phase of doing something differently. Chances are it won't work great, but we're going to stay on it. Pilots are easy to abandon. A first phase means that you will learn and you will improve and you will continue. And one of the last things not to wait for, let's wait for these drones to be $5 because, you know, it'll be better. No. If the technology is not as affordable as you need it to be now, look at a shareable model. Look at collaborative work. Actually, they may learn more from the collaboration of sharing something that they need than everyone having their own. So look at that. Be smart about how you bring technology so you can bring the best that's affordable to you. Now, what to do? And I said it earlier, get that commitment, but get that commitment followed up with a real plan and milestones and KPIs, so we know where we are and what we're doing and what we committed to do and how are we tracking. Make sure you have a clear and open plan so it doesn't become the secret project of one group, but the collaborative project of an entire department organization. The other thing, very important, look at those difficult to reach areas and go after them first. We know that it'll work in the big city, but will it work in the rural areas where there's more need because there's less service of these types of technologies? You need to start there. And folks like Intel, we love that. When we did a project in Bolivia, we didn't do it in Quito. We went to lo más alto del alto, to the highest parts. And when we were able to make it work there, then we can scale it. And that's absolutely critical. Empower the teachers, don't leave them behind. They don't have to be experts in the technology. They're already experts at what they need to do. Show them how the technology can help them. And look at new learning methods. I heard a lot of discussion today about project-based learning. Absolutely the best way to go. Integrate global content. We saw some great content today, but also develop local content. Teacher-developed content. Student-developed content. Your employees' daughters develop content. Helps me demo the drone better than I can. Lastly, look at forging private and public partnerships for sustainability. Everywhere you see a great project from Intel, you see, I hope you do, a more awesome partner collaborator with us, and usually a local player that's making it done and getting it done for their country. Those are the things that, in my mind, matter the most. And lastly, as I said earlier, it starts with that commitment from the back. Thank you so much. It starts with the collaboration with us here from industry. But what we try to do, what we need to do, is create a community of learning. So it's the kids, the dads, the moms, the cousins that are all part and engaged in this learning process. In summary, you need to get ready and be ready and empower your kids for digital transformation. There are so many opportunities, but there's also dilemmas of being left behind. I focused on the opportunity, but there's also the challenges of not being able to keep up. You need to do that. There's collaborators, many of them in the first couple rows here, that want to help you with that. Prepare our children as future innovators. We have enough consumption, thank you very much. We need creators and innovators. And lastly, education needs to embrace and adapt to these technology trends. So when you see some cool technology out in the industry, look at how that can be participated in with the education system. When we saw here what Emanuel is doing, engaging students with these amazing underwater robots, that's what it's all about. Everybody wins in those scenarios. And with that, I want to thank you all for your time, your indulgence, and your participation. Thank you very much. Buen día.
Thank you very much, Brian. We always learn with how technology is adapting to a new way of living in this planet Earth, right? Next presentation, and I am afraid, sorry, y siento que sea la última del foro global de este año, es una presentación de un proyecto de la Marina brasileña de gran interés, que va a presentar el doctor Loengrin Díaz de Almeida Fernández del Instituto de Estudios del Mar Almirante Paulo Moreira. El proyecto se llama Proyecto Control do Via Invasão Marinha pela Autoridad Marítima Brasileña. Damos la bienvenida al doctor y reconocemos la presencia aquí con nosotros de quien ha sido alma mater de todo este evento, el secretario de Educación, Walter Piñeiro, al que pido un fuerte aplauso.
Vamos lá. Ele é um PowerPoint que está na raiz mesmo, se chama Pode ir descendo, é PowerPoint, né? Pode ir descendo. Não. Marinha, eu estou aqui em Salvador, mas é o PowerPoint. É o PowerPoint, é isso. Esse aqui é o laser, né?
Okay, good afternoon. I'm going to present in Portuguese, but first I would like to thank for this opportunity to let us, the Brazilian Navy, to share our experience in solve the problems in defense and protection of the ocean through the education. So thank you. Oh, also, I'm really happy because I discovered a friend, a brother actually, Brian, because my mom told that I don't know how to speak in any language too. So I decided to present in Portuguese. Actually, all my slides are in Portuguese, and I would like to help the amazing team that translates in real time to keep their jobs. So thank you. Ok, eu começo a apresentação, então, agradecendo ao Virtual Educa, ao governo da Bahia, pela chance de estar aqui apresentando e revelando como é possível a Marinha cumprir a sua missão de defender o país, de defender o nosso oceano por meio da educação. Coisas que parecem bastante difíceis. Particularmente, eu trago um exemplo, que é o controle da bioinvasão e como a Marinha consegue controlar ou pretende conseguir controlar a bioinvasão utilizando as ferramentas educacionais e o que há de mais moderno em tecnologia. Assim, eu convido a todos a me acompanhar e eu espero que até o final da apresentação eu tenha mostrado como a gente vem coordenando diversos agentes para juntos conseguirmos desempenhar esse papel. Se nós pensarmos, o primeiro bilhão de pessoas foi atingido em 1800, cerca de 100 anos depois, o segundo bilhão de pessoas na Terra, e daí para frente, aproximadamente a cada 15 anos, a gente tem um novo bilhão de pessoas. Eu pergunto, então, como será a educação desse próximo bilhão de pessoas que vem por aí? Ou mais ainda, quantas delas estão diretamente ligadas aos oceanos? Em nossas experiências, eu espero mostrar como a gente vem lidando com diferentes culturas, com diferentes realidades e trazendo a elas um pouco do que o oceano pode propiciar. Contextualizando a proposta da Marinha do Brasil, a gente tem uma costa ou uma área entre 3 e 4,5 milhões de quilômetros quadrados para cuidar, para proteger. Proteger essa área toda de qualquer tipo de ameaça e degradação não é uma tarefa fácil. E a Marinha já percebeu que, para isso, é fundamental envolver a educação. Aqui há alguns números importantes. A gente tem cerca de 400 municípios, por assim dizer, que estão diretamente ligados ao oceano, à Amazônia Azul. Metade das capitais brasileiras está na região costeira. Isso também é bastante importante. Existem cerca de 50 milhões de pessoas residindo diretamente nessa região. E apenas 1,6% dessa área está sob algum tipo de proteção. Eu trago um exemplo, cerca de 41% das águas americanas estão sob proteção. Isso é um paralelo. Cerca de 65% do nosso comércio exterior se dá pelo oceano. Isso representa cerca de 217 bilhões no ano passado, dos quais 140 bilhões de dólares por via marítima. No ano de 2015, todos sabem muito bem, cerca de 200 líderes de todo o mundo pensaram em 17 objetivos de desenvolvimento sustentáveis, muitos deles ligados à educação e também à vida no mar. Esses dois assuntos, ou esses dois objetivos, são muito bem relacionáveis. E se a gente pensa um pouco na Conferência dos Oceanos, que pretende desenvolver o objetivo 14, nós percebemos o comprometimento de todos os chefes de governo em conservar e usar e impedir que os impactos adversos prejudiquem esse oceano. E reconhecem o papel fundamental que os jovens têm nesse processo. Então, a gente se aproxima do que a Marinha do amanhã e o que a Marinha do futuro tem a ver com o desenvolvimento sustentável dos oceanos, o uso sustentável desses oceanos, com o envolvimento dos jovens. Eu vou mostrar algumas iniciativas que são desenvolvidas hoje na Marinha e tentar pensar em como a gente pode desenvolvê-las mais. Hoje, a Marinha funciona com múltiplos parceiros e isso pode ser representado no slide com diversas esferas de cores diferentes que circundam ações coordenadas. Ações como essa, desse fórum, e que juntos trazem a administração, a academia, a indústria, o poder naval, para juntos conseguir construir uma estratégia melhor. E por que não trazer também a educação? Então, no exemplo, nós temos em verde, no alto direito, museus, espaços culturais, centros culturais da Marinha atuando com os jovens. Existem fundações em azul que suportam isso financeiramente, universidades, institutos de tecnologia, institutos de ciência e tecnologia, institutos federais. E a indústria, de uma forma em geral, como a indústria naval, o comércio, que podem atuar junto conosco. Ok, então esse é o nosso primeiro exemplo do nosso projeto de proteção contra a bioinvasão na Amazônia Azul por meio das ações de educação. Nosso objetivo, essencialmente, é prevenir a bioinvasão para proteger a biodiversidade da Amazônia Azul contra a instalação de espécies indesejáveis e proteger os habitantes da zona costeira de organismos patogênicos, por exemplo. O primeiro desafio numa sequência de slides que vem a seguir é como conscientizar os jovens sobre a importância disso, como obter sucesso com isso, como mostrar a eles a importância dos recursos que estão ali e como eles devem proteger isso para diante. Essa é uma iniciativa da Marinha em que a gente organizou 3 grandes grupos. No alto, são 3 alunas de doutorado do programa de biotecnologia marinha. Elas detêm o conhecimento. Como fazer esse conhecimento chegar até os jovens? Como eliminar a distância ou remover as barreiras para que o conhecimento desenvolvido em benefício da sociedade como um todo, como a proteção, a descoberta de novas ferramentas, pode chegar até as crianças. Então, 2 formas, uma em cada lado do slide. No lado direito, a aluna apresentando um jogo que foi desenvolvido na mesma plataforma do MIT, o Scratch e o App Creator, em que eles prepararam um jogo, na realidade prepararam 2 jogos que são apresentados dentro dos espaços culturais da Marinha, como, por exemplo, o Museu Oceanográfico, o Espaço Cultural, o Museu Naval e qualquer outro espaço que a Marinha disponha. E do lado esquerdo, então, uma turma de uma escola indo vivenciar a aplicação desse jogo dentro de um desses espaços. Então, é como 3 personagens atuando em conjunto para trazer a importância da proteção para a realidade das crianças. Essa é a cara do jogo, o jogo que foi organizado por eles mesmos, para que as próprias crianças se interessassem. Um dos jogos se chama Pelagic Game e mostra a importância da biodiversidade. O segundo jogo que as próprias crianças desenvolveram, o Jellyfish, ou Jelly, The Jellyfish, também segue a mesma iniciativa e a ideia é apresentar nos nossos museus espaços culturais, fazendo com que as crianças se aproximem do que é desenvolvido nos níveis mais altos dentro dos programas de pós-graduação. Então, com vários parceiros, as crianças são capazes de desenvolver e, utilizando as ferramentas que já existem hoje em dia, como essas do MIT, conseguem desenvolver jogos e elas mesmas aprendem, criam, jogam, e isso tudo dentro do espaço da Marinha Brasileira. Qual é, então, o nosso ganho, o nosso objetivo enquanto Marinha? A gente fomenta uma mentalidade marítima, as crianças se sentem mais apropriadas com relação aos oceanos, elas participam, elas se sentem donas daquilo ali. como no caso, por exemplo, do Espaço Cultural da Marinha, na Bahia. A criação de um navio museu, e nós teremos a oportunidade de visitar um navio logo a seguir, eu prometo não me demorar muito, é a chance em que as crianças e os jovens têm de conviver com os oceanos ou com o que a gente pode propiciar para o oceano. Os objetivos são os mesmos, do mesmo projeto de prevenção contra a bioinvasão, mas os desafios vão muito além disso. E se a gente quiser se envolver além das crianças, os adultos, como a gente pode pensar em educação não apenas fragmentada, não apenas para as crianças, mas para os jovens adultos e os adultos? Então, o nosso maior desafio é desenvolver o respeito naqueles que teoricamente já foram educados. Por que não incluí-los com relação à mentalidade marítima? Por que não aproveitar os que já têm uma certa idade, já vivenciaram um pouco mais, e despertar neles o mesmo sentimento de preservação dos nossos oceanos? Segue a mesma ideia os museus de tradições navais, como o Museu Náutico da Bahia, o Farol da Barra, em que são mostradas e são trazidas as tradições, ou ainda a Marinha controla e organiza uma série de espaços. Essa figura de uma árvore é, na realidade, um sambaqui, restos de cerca de 8.000 anos, com restos mortais de uma população caiçara. Isso está salvaguardado pela Marinha, que, na realidade, desenvolve programas de visitação coordenados para manter isso preservado. Então, o nosso papel de proteger vai muito além de simplesmente da proteção imediata. Ela vai à proteção das gerações futuras. E ainda falando dos mesmos objetivos do projeto de prevenção da bioinvasão na Amazônia Azul, a capacitação dos profissionais. Se nós pretendemos ser capazes de proteger, por que não capacitar aqueles que não dominam as tecnologias que estão em desenvolvimento? Por que não capacitá-los a utilizá-las? Então, como desafio essencial seria treinar um inspetor naval ou um agente representante da autoridade portuária para que ele pudesse atuar em toda a nossa costa de uma maneira equânime. Vocês sabem muito bem que os oceanos estão bastante ameaçados pela introdução de espécies indesejadas pelo comércio marítimo, por exemplo, dentre outras razões. E existe uma agenda bastante estreita que nos força a treinar e a capacitar os nossos agentes portuários para que atuem de uma forma coerente. Então, ainda na mesma ideia, nós envolvemos os estudantes de mestrado e de doutorado no desenvolvimento de um aplicativo usando as ferramentas disponíveis para celular. E tem aí 3 telas do aplicativo para celular, em que os Port State Control utilizam em toda a nossa costa para poder fazer a sua prática. Então, é um exemplo de uma nova tecnologia trazida para dentro do ambiente da Marinha por meio da capacitação estudantil. Isso é bastante útil, porque permite os benefícios da utilização das novas tecnologias listadas no lado direito, como a versatilidade, a rapidez, os baixos custos. Como a gente faz isso? Da mesma forma, levando os estudantes, ou eu mesmo, apresentando isso aos inspetores navais, que precisam desempenhar uma série de tarefas dentro de um navio que chegue ao Brasil, por exemplo, e que precisam lançar mão de ferramentas novas e de usar tecnologias novas. Então, percebam que a educação ou a proteção do nosso oceano passa desde as crianças até as pessoas que já estão trabalhando. Eu já me aproximo, então, da fala. Eu tenho certeza que todos estão preocupados com o almoço, inclusive eu mesmo. Voltando à nossa pergunta, como será a educação desse próximo bilhão de pessoas que vem por aí? Estamos preparados para isso? Estamos tentando. Então, agora esse painel se amplifica com outros personagens, com outros cenários. Essa é a conclusão a que chegamos, e eu percebi nas falas anteriores que a criação das networks é a forma pela qual a gente conseguirá resolver esses problemas. Então, os agentes, os personagens que flutuam ao redor de ações coordenadas em prol da proteção dos oceanos precisam se falar mais e melhor em torno de um mesmo objetivo comum. Eu finalizo a minha apresentação com uma fala da Marinha do Brasil, que diz que há quem diga que o futuro da humanidade dependerá das riquezas do mar. Isso é em parte, realidade. E a gente percebe isso no olhar ingênuo e infantil dessa menina, que mostra para a gente que, afinal de contas, todos somos personagens, independente de onde estamos atuando, todos podemos utilizar a educação. Eu acrescentaria, então, enfim, além da ciência, tecnologia e inovação, eu acrescentaria a educação a esse rol de palavras e passaria a utilizar, então, ciência, tecnologia, inovação e educação como as ferramentas mais importantes. Muito obrigado a todos.
Muchas gracias. Yo creo que las personas que están, yo sé que hace mucho calor, pero ruego que tomen asiento para dos cosas. El lanzamiento formal de Pense en Azul, digo tres, la clausura por parte del secretario Piñero del encuentro. Van a tener ustedes el privilegio de ver el vídeo del encuentro, el video que ya está hecho, del encuentro de estos días, y a continuación, como es la tradición, subirá, una vez el secretario clausure, subirán los representantes de Argentina. El video. 20º encuentro virtual Educa en Buenos Aires. Entonces, para coordinar este momento de lanzamiento y de firma de un convenio, llamo a que coordine una breve sesión de lanzamiento al coordinador de Think Blue Power Virtual Educa, Jorge Barbosa, del Banco Mundial. Jorge.
Muchísimas gracias, José María Antón. Everybody, again, we thank you. We are very happy to have you all here today. We have, this is going to be the time we've been talking about all week. We had a beautiful exhibit space at the forum of Think Blue. And I wanted to briefly, very briefly, during the closing ceremony, talk about what Think Blue is, powered by Virtual Educa, supported by the World Bank, implemented by the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, whom we have a representative here today. And we have a wonderful message from the Secretary General of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. We cannot seem to be able to find it. But in the meantime, could I please ask Mrs. Susanna Scott to come on stage? She's representing the OECS.
El video, amigo, no sé, es que no sé cuál es, se lo trajeron a ti. No sé, ese no es un video, es un PowerPoint.
Secretario, muchas gracias, bienvenido, obrigado, por favor tomen asiento. Una ayuda técnica, por favor, de nuestro equipo. El equipo Virtual Educa, por favor. Un momento muy corto, por favor. El video. Agustín, ¿me ayudas, por favor? El video que le pusieron al señor. All right, thank you very much. Just solving one very brief technical issue. In the meantime, I'll continue discussing about Think Blue, Power of Virtual Educa. Again, supported by the World Bank, implemented by the OECS, and funded by the Global Environment Facility as part of the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project, which is the video we are about to hear from the Secretary General of the OECS, and very brief words from their representative. Think Blue, we call it Innovation in Ocean Education, and really is a portal for aggregating and creating ocean-related content from across the web, but also housing original content that will be developed in first instance through the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project as part of the OECS, but with global relevance as well on the blue economy for different audiences. A lifelong learning process, if you will. We will have games for children. We'll have e-learning courses and different learning material. But what's exciting about it and different as well is that the portal will include an aspect of what we call disruptive technologies, right? So we'll have artificial intelligence algorithms and machine learning to create ideally a more enhanced experience and to guide the process of learning, as well as to be able to gather big data on the usage and the course completions and different monitoring mechanisms. So it'll be a very good tool. Are we ready with the video? ¿El video está listo? All right, so without further ado, who better to introduce Think Blue and the project in the Caribbean for the blue economy than the Secretary General of the Director General, apologies, of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, representing 10 Caribbean
colleagues. I'm recording this from the iconic Granite Beach, no better ocean scape from. The ocean is touted as being the Earth's last frontier. Given that our small islands of marine space is significantly larger than our landmass, and thus clearly a substantial asset, we, the OECS, embrace transition into a blue economy, as we believe that this will strengthen the economies of our member states and close the gap on poverty and unemployment rates. A 2016 World Bank Group report titled Towards a Blue Economy, a Promise of Sustainable Growth in the Caribbean, to which the OECS Commission was a contributing partner, estimated that in 2012, the ocean economy of the Caribbean Sea, which is less than 1% of the global ocean space, generated $407 billion, equivalent to 14 to 17% of the GDP of the states and territories whose shore was touched by it. Of this, US $53.17 billion was generated by island states and territories. Overall, over US $311 billion was from shipping, $47 billion was from marine-based tourism, $39.9 billion was from oil and gas, $6.9 billion was from fishing and aquaculture, and $2.4 billion indirect contribution to economic activities from ecosystem services. Sadly, our ocean resources are at risk. Preliminary findings of a major survey of the coral reefs of the Caribbean, the Catlin Scientific Survey, indicates that the Caribbean, and I quote, the Caribbean was chosen to launch the global mission because it is at the front
Everybody,
line of
okay, so we have
over the last 50 years,
a sound issue, but
80% of the corals have been lost.
This morning in Grenada, the headquarters of the OECS is in St. Lucia, but he's traveling in Grenada. He did it live in front of the ocean in honor of World Oceans Day, and for us specifically, we will be editing a little bit of the sound and the quality. But to summarize very briefly, we'll have the OECS representative, so good thing we do have official representation here. And please talk to us about OECS, the crop, the relationship with Virtual Educa, and Thinking Blue.
Okay, just to say thank you to the government of Bahia and Virtual Educa for being here today. Our Director General wished he could have been here. His background is actually in education and he has a passion for technology, so he would have really enjoyed this forum. So his apologies for not being able to make it. In turn, we have me, I'm present. My background is in oceans governance. The OECS, just to give a little bit very briefly on the organization, we're an international intergovernmental organization. We have 10 member states. We're small islands located in the Eastern Caribbean. We were established under the Treaty of Bastille in 1981, and in 2010 we revised our treaty to ensure that we had a deeper economic integration among our member states, and that revised treaty established us as an economic union. So we are an economic union, small islands. In terms of the Think Blue, as small islands, it would stand to reason that our sea space is much larger than much larger than our land space, and therefore we embrace the opportunity to transition to a blue economy. As small islands, we it would seem obvious that we tend to think blue, but that is indeed actually not the case, because most of our citizens and our people of the islands, we see the oceans from its surface, and many persons don't have the opportunity to see it for an entirely new environment that it is. And so we have partnered with Virtual Educa on the Think Blue, and Think Blue is a platform that will allow us to share learning, knowledge, ocean knowledge with our citizens, and to allow persons at all different levels, from the decision maker down to the layman on the street, to understand the oceans and the impacts that activities that we do on land and in the oceans can have, and actually negate our economic benefits from the ocean environment. So we are looking forward to continuing to partner with Virtual Educa on this initiative, and we are looking forward to starting under the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project to actually populate this platform with various products that we will be producing under that project. Just to note that the project is Jeff funded and World Bank supported.
Thank you very much. I have a very, very quick note because we are moving with the program. I want to acknowledge as well another regional organization that was able to join us this week, and it is the Indian Ocean Rim Association, whom the blue economy is also very important to them. They represent about 21 countries, spanning multiple regions across the Indian Ocean as well as the Pacific, and the African region as well. And a very brief 2 words from our representative from the IORA, if you would like to, or about their commitment to the blue economy and in this space. Thank you very much. Professor Vianatri, everybody, you can come up on stage if you like.
Thank you very much. Let me express my gratitude to Government of Bahia, Secretary General of Virtual Educa, and IORA basically, as conceived by late President Nelson Mandela during the visit to India in 1994, came into existence on March 7, 1997, having a headquarters in Mauritius. It is an organization of 21 member states, ranging from Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Sri Lanka, India, Iran, UAE, South Africa, Tanzania, Mozambique, Madagascar, Cameroon. So, and it is an interesting organization in the sense that there are developing countries, and the LDCs and the SIDS. So IORA is deeply committed to the blue economy. During a resolution passed on 9th October 2014 in Perth in Australia, all the IORA countries committed blue economy as a model of bringing prosperity in the Indian Ocean region. In that context, the Think Blue program initiated by the World Bank, IORA supports it, and we are looking forward forging mutually beneficial relationship so that we spread the innovative education related with the ocean economy, the blue economy, which basically benefits all the humankind around the globe. Thank you very much.
The horizon for Think Blue is looking very blue indeed. Now I'll pass it on to Mr. Jose Maria Anton for continuing our program. Thank you.
Well, I think it's, as you say, it's becoming really increasingly blue. We have been discussing with Professor. Thank you very much, Madam, for the support through CROP, the Eastern Caribbean states to Virtual Educa. It's a pleasure and honor to work with you. Thank you very much, Professor. We have been already making plans for the near future after a technical committee is formed, trying to establish a global alliance for Think Blue. And then our partners are welcome. Professor, we are talking to have in a few days an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, about this global alliance that is started, supported, the core is the Eastern Caribbean states and World Bank, Virtual Educa, many other partners. So we invite, and we have been already talking to Smithsonian Foundation and Discovery, Education, and many other partners about signing these agreements. Yes, as a token and as the first agreement signed after and before the proclamation that Jorge is going to make, I invite to the stage at this moment Ms. Shelly Bengiat to sign the first Memorandum of Understanding for Think Blue. Shelly?
Wow, this is a very exciting moment, I must say. Thank you, really, for inviting us, for being here together to take part of becoming missionaries. And I would be really honored, of course, to sign this agreement and to take the mission, to travel between communities and to take the active part to immobilize communities and pass the skills, knowledge, the passion, and the mission to actually remember life as a currency of the blue economy. Thank you so much.
So you sign it? Oh, there. Oh, there. We sign there.
I tried. I'm hungry.
Va a firmar como testigo de honor de este convenio el secretario de Educación del Gobierno de Bahía, senador Huerta Piñeiro.
Everyone, before we proceed, Jose Maria, we do have a very brief comment from our colleague from the OECS, again, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, Susanna Scott.
Just to mention Think Blue, while we actually looked at our citizens and educating our citizens on oceans, Virtual Educa has given us the opportunity to actually take Think Blue, the platform, to the world. And so therefore, we will also be signing a memorandum of understanding with Virtual Educa to build on this and actually take it out to the world so that the ocean knowledge can be available to any country.
Okay, everybody, this concludes the session of the launch of Think Blue specifically. And to summarize, we're very excited again to have this portal and this very innovative idea to be first and foremost implemented in the Eastern Caribbean and then made available to the world, then to different regions, perhaps starting with the Iora region, and with colleagues from public and private sector and education, such as, for example, Envirotech education, and hopefully in the future, some of the colleagues that we heard from today here. So this is a very exciting time. I want to very briefly state as well that the World Bank's youth-to-youth network, and I mentioned youth earlier and the importance of youth, is greatly supporting of Think Blue and a relationship with Virtual Educa. In fact, there is an MOU between the Y2Y initiative and Virtual Educa, and the youth of this organization and the global network that it represents has stated as well that youth are committed to the ocean. We're committed to learning about our environment, about protecting it, but also about our livelihoods now and in the future. And through that, we need education, quality, inclusive education throughout the entire life and career periods. So we're very happy to have you all here. Thank you for your support. Any questions, please feel free to approach me momentarily. We'll continue with the closing session of the forum, though, but thank you for your support for Think Blue.
Thank you, Jorge. You are a great project coordinator. We, from Educa, hope to continue working with all the team and with you for many years.